Oh, you'll be delighted and somewhat surprised to know that you can now own Who's Views merchandise. Yes, a range of mugs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, cuddly toys, a cheer please, and other goodies, all putting official Doctor Who merchandise to shame. It's now available from the Who's Views shop. You can find it on the store tab on the channel or by scanning that squiggly thing there. And now it's time for headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
It's the 3rd of November. Can you believe it already? 3rd of November 2024. How are you, Who viewers? Nice to see you all. Welcome back to your big show this Sunday. Yes, it's us with headlines. Hope you are all well. It's lovely to see you all. We have got another big show for you this evening. Oh, yes, we have. Have you heard? Doctor Who is being rewritten on a daily basis here in the United Kingdom. We'll be coming to that very shortly. We're also going to be asking, have you been to Gala Fray 1? And coming up in the show, Dr. How Much, in response to a lot of you getting back to me saying, JT, do you really think that Bad Wolf and the BBC can do the studio's Doctor Who programme together? Well, we've been looking into it, and it could be that I'm very wrong. Joining me tonight, as ever, we've got Paul, and we've got Third Doctor Ian. Hiya, guys.
Evening all.
Hello.
Oh, listen, another big show for a Sunday night. What can you beat it?
It's massive, isn't it?
As usual, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week. Thank you all so much for your comments and your emails. I want to say thank you to everybody that joined us as well for the final 2 episodes in our Halloween series for 2024, which were The Impossible Planet and The Satan Pit. Thank you very, very much for all your comments. I'm glad you enjoyed the entire season, but also those 2 that we did there. It's strange, isn't it? But, you know, I don't think modern Doctor Who is as popular as the older ones getting now, to be quite honest, but there you have it. But I also want to say thank you to Mark Milford, to Colin Smith, to Simon Leavesley, to Paul Stanterford, to Steve Henley, to John Mason, to Dr. Howe, and also to Damon 99614. Now, I want to send out a personal message to Damon as well. Thank you so much for reaching out and getting in touch with your emails. You won't mind me saying, but Damon is a young gay guy in America who's finding it extremely tough in America at the moment, as a lot of people are. And listen, I'm seeing the cracks starting in America now, and the LGB movement is fighting back against the TQ cult movement, Damon. So hang on in, because you are not alone, ever. You are not alone, and you are not to be shouted at or called names or anything like that. We've all had it. We all get it. We continue to get it. But you are fine. Do not worry. And you are very welcome with us here at Who's Views. If you're in the chat, say hello to us. But keep messaging. Keep in touch. It is good to see you. There you go. There you have it. But nice. Listen, guys, I also want to say a huge thank you to Graham Buxton, who sent us some lovely pictures today. He has indeed, yes. Because Graham, thank you, Graham. I know you're watching, but thank you. Graham has today, this very day, been to Hammersmith, to the Riverside Arts Centre. Now, that might ring a bell with a lot of you. Here it is here. So this is where he was, the Riverside Studios. Does it ring a bell with anybody? I'm sure it does.
May have heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, vaguely recall something being mentioned. Yeah.
Isn't that where Bedweir lives half the year?
Could
I believe so. Yeah.
Look at the front of this, though. My, how it's changed. Absolutely incredible. Well, anyway, he's been enjoying today at the Riverside Studios the War Machines.
Oh,
yes. He said it was a real enjoyable afternoon, slightly surreal watching a TV show made back in 1966 on a November afternoon, with best part 60 odd years later. But testament to our wonderful show that there was an audience of people, mostly blokes of our age, who chose to spend the time reliving the tribulations of Wotan and his box-smashing war machines. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. He said his heart was warmed as the 100-odd audience clapped happily as Hartnell stared down the War Machine on the episode 3 cliffhanger. Magical that our little show can still inspire such love and magical feelings for an episode ending from so long ago. Isn't it just?
Lovely, yeah. Yeah.
Bring me Doctor Who.
Yeah. Let's see the Gatwa episodes lasting that long, shall we?
It's traumatic that the last 45 minutes, isn't it? I don't want to think about. I'm living decades after that.
Well, personally, I don't. If he wants to live as long as he wants, that's fine. But as Doctor Who, I don't want to see him for 60 years.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to clarify like that, Paul.
It's not bad. Just to be on the safe side, lawyers and all that kind of thing, allegedly.
It's all alleged. Everything is alleged in the show.
I'm looking out for you. It's okay. It's fine. I'm on your side.
Yes. There is lots of this going on. John Mason saying this sounds cool. I'm sure it was. Stephen Braddock saying to us, Doctor Who is required.
That's the words, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes. John is also saying the same thing there. Dongo wants to know Shooty Who.
Yeah.
Crimpeline de Bloom. Hello, CD. How are you? The chat is going so fast, but Crimpeline de Bloom saying to us, Shooty Gatwa is not required. Sheila B is saying hello to all of us. Hello, Sheila B, and love to you as well. Lovely. Paul Stanford is saying I absolutely adore the War Machines. It is a cracking story, isn't it? It's very good. It really is good. And what else we got here? So thank you very much for everybody joining us for this. People have forgotten, says Garbage. People have forgotten Shooty episode after 6 weeks, let alone 60 years. It's a good point, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, I know we're biased and everything, although we give each Gatwa episode a fair trial. But
yeah, we do.
They're just rubbish, aren't they? They are not going to be talking about them in any positive way 50 or 60 years from now. They just aren't.
They're not going to. Yeah, you're right. They're not going to stand the test of time because they've got too much modern day crap in it.
Yeah.
Haven't they? It really has. Paul Rose is asking the question, Gatwa who? We don't know, do we? And also Lee Smith is saying, eject RTD2. I think most of us have. Lovely. I think most of it's gone. A true classic never dies, says Mark Milford. And certainly the War Machines today has proved that, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And Doctor Who is not Shooty, says Marjorie. Hello, Marjorie. Lovely to see you. Who else we got here? Sean Oliver, the gold silver guy. Nice to see you. Welcome back to Who's Views. Evening all. As per usual, I'm in the background lurking whilst packing orders. Yes, because Sean is working as he watches us. So I'm hoping that we help you to get through the shift. I wonder if he's watching it on. Are you watching us on a phone or something like that? You're just listening to us. I don't know, but I hope your shift goes well, and we're not too distracting. CD is also saying to us, listen, the audiobook of The War Machines read by Michael Cochran is also very good. Wow. I haven't heard that one.
It is actually. Yeah, it is.
I haven't heard that one. Ooh. And Glenn
The War
Pipe
Machines is amazing. It predicts the internet, 60 years before it arrived. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
A British invention, by the way. And Glenn Piper, hello to you. Good evening, all. It can't be a happy David Tennant in the moment with Kebby Badenoch in charge of the Conservatives. Yes. This has been, believe it or not, the news of the weekend, really, hasn't it? Because yesterday here in the UK, it was announced that Kemi Badenoch is now the new Conservative Party leader and touted already to be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, which is going to be, 4 years' time when we get to vote again. Anyway, she's the one that David Tennant had to go on. We reported it here on Headlines a few weeks back, where he was at that stupid LGBTQI Cult Awards thing. And they gave him a supporter award or whatever, something nonsense.
Ally or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, something, one of those things. And he went on. He's the one who said he wanted her to shut up, didn't he? Like that, and that he wanted to wake up in a world where she didn't exist. Well, yes, very uncomfortable now. I'm sure, Mr. Tennant. I'm sure you must be a little bit concerned about how well that was reported and how it's going to be reported until your dying day. Quite frankly, really. What a fool.
He tried to dial back on it, didn't he? When he said didn't exist, and he suddenly looked up and realised how completely out of order that was. And he tried to dial back, going, I don't mean her any ill will. And he just couldn't rein it back quick enough.
No, he couldn't. He really couldn't. He had to try and clarify. But when you're in that sort of room and people are just like, clapping seals, with the same agenda and the same, all part of the same cult, I'd love to go to something like that and say, are you all incredibly stupid? Are you all insane? Do you know what I mean? Do you not realize that you are supporting homophobia and misogyny? I'd love to do that. And while we're on the point as well, Sylvester McCoy, bless him, after his tweet today, celebrities need to keep out of politics these days, don't they? And stop saying things, because you're going to upset a lot of your fan base. Stop it. Just don't do it. That's all I'm saying about that one. But don't.
Should really keep out of it.
Yeah,
on the
keep your opinions
one,
to yourself. What, Ian?
On the Tennant one, did you see the comment on X from J.K. Rowling?
I did. Yes,
that
absolutely
was so
fantastic.
Yeah, it was very funny. Yeah.
She's
wind him up.
She's just so on point with everything, though, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because she's way above all of them, so they can't do anything about her. They should actually start reading her properly and listening to her more, rather than jumping on bandwagons. The Shooty Gatwa era will be remembered the same as a super drunk night out. It won't be remembered, says Time Lord Victorious. And Rose Kirby as well. Hey, hello, wherever in the universe you are. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. Indeed. And it's lovely to see you all. Domgo is saying to us, the Gatwa era will be remembered as what killed the show, unfortunately. I would also put in, on top of that, Domgo as well, I'd also put in the Chibnall era as well, because that started it. And of course, RTD being one of the sheep just built on that, didn't he? He thought, oh no, we're going to dumb down on this because he won't have people, or they won't have people saying, oh no, you can't do this, or we don't like this, because we're all in the wrong. So the majority is in the wrong, basically. Do you remember? Cara is saying to us, JT, the problem is that some of your stories are quite good until they shovel the message into them. Copyright, Critical Drinker. And then they put the audience off. Possibly, Cara, possibly. I mean, some of those stories may have worked with a bit more script editing and a bit more thought and a bit more passion put into it, rather than just, where can I put these messages? You could be right, Cara, but unfortunately, we're never going to know.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think they had potential, but the message got in the way, definitely,
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's all they care about. What's the message now? Story around it.
If you'd done a true to the story 3-part Star Beast, as I think you alluded to the other week, JT, and did it, properly without trying to shove in trans this or it's all TQI that and everything, and here's my pronouns. If you'd actually done it like a proper Doctor Who, that would have been really good, and it'd be remembered for a long time. But with the same fondness perhaps as Family of Blood and everything being based on a novel.
Yeah. But we're going to come to this. We're coming to this right now. I just want to point out Rick Storm. Hiya, Rick. 8 days until I get my Brick 7 and less than a month before I get my Season 2 standard set. I know, isn't it exciting, Rick? Can't wait for both of those. Absolutely. Don't forget, when you get your Season 2 standard set, we're doing, in November this month, we're doing our Season 2 overview, everybody. So come and join us for that. It's up on the channel now. So come and join us for that as we celebrate Season 2 coming on to standard Blu-ray. And the guys are going to be telling us what's in the Blu-ray as well as the overview of the stories. Okay, so come and join us for that one. I'm really excited. Oh, Sean's back with us. Sean's saying, no, I'm on a laptop. I literally pack and lick like 500 stamps. I'm a coin and stamp dealer by trade. Ooh, fancy. Get that. Fabulous. Randy Batswinger's with us, gentlemen. You're going to get me into trouble, Randy. Is that the one where William Hartnell spins around in a nightclub wearing a skirt with a blonde dolly bird?
Well, he's in a nightclub. Anyway,
he's in a nightclub. Yeah.
Very briefly. But what was the point you just made there? I can't remember what point I was going to make on the back of you. Oh, right. Well, listen, you were making the point there about the Family of Blood, Ian. Yeah. But they rewrote it, didn't they? They rewrote the ending in 2020, or more specifically, that author who won't be named redid that because apparently it was too. What was it? I don't know the reason. I heard people saying at the time because it was too hard. The actual ending, it was too hard, and he regretted that now, being the doctor being that merciless, if you like, which suited the story and suited what the outcome of the characters. I mean, that's what the Doctor would do, because the Doctor does have that alien edge, because guess what, he's an alien, believe it or not, and he does have this sort of dark side to him. So,
but there's still a great dark. There's a lot of darkness in the end of the TV version as well, isn't there?
Yeah, But what they had
they
to
send
do,
the family off to and punishes them. You know, it's really well done. You know?
but what they did is they rewrote that so that he lets them all go or something like this. I don't know, because by that point I thought, I don't want to know this. And this is where we really started the ideological left-wing nonsense coming in.
That's right. He did a kind of postscript, didn't he, a few years after the story?
For 2020.
Yeah. What year was
T.
it?
Davis did one as well.
Wasn't it?
Oh,
Well,
right, I missed that. Yeah, right.
The
It was,
original
it was all the 2020 stuff because we were all on lockdown. So there was a lot going on, and they came out with all these stories. Russell T. Davis did one which involved Sarah's funeral. You know, and that's where he made Tegan and Nissa allegedly a partnership, you know, a same-sex relationship. That's not what they ever were. They were buddies, you know. So it's all this nonsense coming on, wasn't it? This is where it all started to come through, and they started to rewrite Doctor Who history. Now, you know, we've seen this constantly now, and this week it's happened again. Because have you seen this, everybody? Now, this is the Black Guardian. I'll just say that again. The Black Guardian. Now, if you've never seen the Black Guardian, because you're just coming into Doctor Who later than this, the Black Guardian was, of course, introduced in the Tom Baker series, The Key to Time. You didn't see him until the very end, played by the late, great Valentine Dial, as you can see in this picture. But his presence was felt, I felt, all through those stories of The Key to Time. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I thought I knew the Black Guardian all through that. So it's very end he comes into this, doesn't he?
Yeah.
On the opposite of the Black Guardian is the White Guardian, played by the late Cyril Luckham. Beautifully. Now, you saw him at the beginning in the Rebos operation. You know, now it was established that the Guardians, before anybody's saying, the Guardians can change the way their appearance. They can change that. They can be anything they want to be. So they can manifest themselves in a way that is presentable to the person they're talking to. Right. So you've got the White Guardian and the Black Guardian. So that suggests white, good, black, dark. Now, we've lived this for years and years and years. In 1983, of course, JNT brought them back for the Black Guardian trilogy, which the BBC were quite happy to market back then as the Black Guardian trilogy when it came out on DVD for season 20. So you had those three stories. You had Mordred Undead, and you had Terminus, and then you had Enlightenment, to which Valentine Dow returned for all three stories, which was a great treat at the time. That picture there is from Enlightenment, where he's actually shouting at Turlo. The big thing about this week, and I don't know if any have seen this, is of course we are in 2024. We are in the world of the woke. We are in the world where the extreme liberal ideologists seem to think that they can tell the rest of us how to say and what we can say and think and all this sort of stuff. Entertainment itself seems to think they can do the same. And of course, Doctor Who is controlled by these morons who also seem to think that we're all in the wrong. And it's just a few years ago, I was actually saying to a mate of mine, how long will it be before they come for the White and Black Guardians? The answer is now. Because this week, Forbidden Planet here in the UK launched one of these things they do. You know how they get all these T-shirts and coasters and key rings and sweatshirts and coats and whatever it is, all based around the theme. We've had all sorts, including the Happiness Patrol and all the Doctors and all this. Well, look what's arriving now. The Guardian of Chaos.
Oh, dear.
So, no longer are they calling him the Black Guardian. They're calling him the Guardian of Chaos. Now, this is pushing it far too far. I mean, I said this as a joke a little while ago, everybody who views, how long will it be before they come to the White and Black Guardian? But here they are, they're actually doing it. Now, bearing in mind that this is going against the British way of telling stories, good and dark, light and dark, black and white, fairy tales and all this sort of stuff. What are these people going to do? Are they going to continue everything until everything's blooming PC?
I mean, it's not the calling of the Black Guardian isn't meant to be in any way, shape, or form racist in any shape or form at all.
Of course it's not, but that's not how they see it, is it?
No, but it goes back to the like you're saying, traditions. Like in the cowboy films, the baddies had the black hats and the goodies had the white hats. Underneath those hats, most of the people were white at the time, and they were bad white people and bad black. Well, so good white people with white hats and bad black people with black hats. So there was it wasn't to do with race at all. Is the point I'm trying to make. So
it was nothing to do with that. Unfortunately, this is how these people work. We've actually seen it going back to Kemi Badenoch. We saw it from members of the Labour Party who have been racist towards her. And I'm talking about black people being racist to Kemi Badenoch. And Kemi Badenoch, for those of you who don't know, she's black, but it shouldn't matter in this day and age. So what we've got these very privileged people in entertainment and show business terrified that some sort of activist is going to come after them if they put on a t-shirt, the Black Guardian. That's his title. The White Guardian and the Black Guardian. It's in the show. It's in the books. We've known them since 1970. What was it? 78. The 78 series. We've known it since then. So why? And the only reason I can think of is because of this woke nonsense, this desire to be so PC. I think it's ridiculous. But there we have it.
I don't see what's politically correct about changing the term black into chaos. Yeah. Because chaos, that would suggest that's just one of a multitude. And there was only two, a black one and a white one, light and dark.
Exactly.
And that's the end of it. And it's it's you go all the way back. Look at the Wizard of Oz, the evil witch. She wore black. The nice witch, she was in something like pinky white, wasn't she? I mean, look at Star Wars. Vader is in black. Leia is in white. Yeah, let's ignore the stormtroopers for a minute. They couldn't shoot anyway. But it's your principal characters. They've always been marked out like that. In some respects, I think they need sympathy because they're so weak-minded. They need to rewrite things so their feeble little pudding brains can cope with it. I can't cope with the Black Guardian. Let's call him the Guardian of Chaos. So I'm a little bit more able to sleep at night. I mean, if you can't sleep because of the name given to a character that last appeared in the 1980s, then you've got a serious problem, haven't you?
Well, this is the thing. Some of these fans who are supporting this change have coming out saying he's now part of the pantheon that Russell introduced with that drag queen. What a load of old nonsense. I'm sorry, but in my eyes, the Black and White Guardian were the most powerful influences of the universe, and we're involved with every aspect of the universe on a minute by minute basis because they had so much of it to get around. So he was doing trying to get all the bad stuff done, and the White Guardian was balancing it out. I remember the line in Enlightenment as well from the White Guardian, where I exist, he exists also until we are no longer needed.
Yeah.
That's it. So they're still around there. You can't just get rid of them because if you got rid of the Guardians, like Russell, I think, suggested, then the balance is off. I don't know. I think it's but this really gets to me because this is those people again who are thinking, oh, we can't say that because we'll get into trouble for that. And they're terrified of these alleged activists. Shut up and do the job and leave it alone. Stop rewriting Doctor Who.
So like I say again, it's got nothing to do with skin color at all. That's the problem.
No.
It's not.
But that's what they say. That's how they live, isn't it? That's how everything is about that. Everything's about identity. It really
Are they going to rewrite Impossible Planet and Satan Pit then that we've just looked at? Because that planet is orbiting a black hole. So that's racist, surely.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. So I'd like to know who made the decision on this to say we have to change the Black Guardian's name. We cannot have merchandise with the Black Guardian. They've even used Valentine Dial's likeness there, which I'm hoping his family are getting some sort of compensation for.
So
you mentioned the pantheon of the gods there, JT. I've just had a horrible thought. I hope this has not been rebranded because he's coming back because he is a god.
Well, this is the other point. These fans that have said they support this decision are convinced that he will be back and he's on the way back, and that's why he's got to have the new name.
This is like Davros Gate all over again, isn't it?
It is. Well, it's that, and it's also the same month.
Yeah.
But why is he coming back? Why is he coming back if we don't need any reference to the old series whatsoever? Yeah. David cannot stop digging through the archives of a much, much more superior program to give himself ideas. He's creatively barren. If he didn't have classic Doctor Who, he would not be able to produce anything.
No, not at all. I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with, as we saw with the total abomination of Sutek. You know, yeah. Let's see what they're saying in the chat about this one. Garbage is saying the Black Guardian, he has black clothes. Glenn is Black Guardian scared me so much as a child. I absolutely love that trilogy. Well, I remember for the first time, Glenn, I saw him, of course, was in the Key to Time as an 8-year-old, and he was in a negative form.
And he was really scary, wasn't he? Yeah,
very scary. And that episode, the Armageddon Factor, had given me the chills for all those 6 episodes, because of course you also had the Shadow. Beautiful performance there. Great set in the shadows, scared the hell out of me as an 8-year-old. And then you have this Guardian chanting, right? And then, you know, and if it hadn't been for Tom, the magic of Tom playing it the way the way he played it, I think I might have had nightmares for weeks because of Valentine Dial. Wonderful performance from Valentine Dial as well.
And it was no thrill, wasn't it?
Eh?
It was a thrill, wasn't it, though, at the end, when at the end of Legopolis, where he's going through the regeneration sequence and he's hanging there and he sees all the enemies. Right at the very end, you know, the reprise of "Doctor, you will die for this," and just hearing that fantastic voice again just before he fell. It was like, you know,
and of course, that was a very clever thing to do, because not only did it reference the fact here he is, he's going to die, but I'm coming back, because John would have known by that point. The 20th anniversary is coming in. I wonder if Valentine Dale available. Get on with the power. No, that's brilliant. But also over here, of course, for our parents' generation and their parents' generations, he was massive on the radio, and he was, of course, the Man in Black. Valentine Dale. That was his nickname. There's now Black Guardian merchandise, says Randy Batswing. Well, there isn't really, because it's not called the Black Guardian. They're called him the Guardian of Chaos. Absolute nonsense. Surely you mean the Guardian of Colour, says Paul Rose. And I guarantee you, if it was all the rainbow colours, it would be perfectly acceptable. Mum used to say, says Robin Calvert to us, that Valentine Dale made his name on radio as the Man in Black. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right. They all knew that. Hi to Julia.
It's quite a thing, isn't it? It's quite a thing on the radio to be referenced by something that refers to colour. You know, because you're on the radio, it's audio only. But
it never meant anything to do with skin colour, did it? It was because black was dark. Black was the sign
black
of
evil,
and naughtiness and evil.
And horror,
It still is. And they're trying to change that. They're trying to rewrite it. Absolute nonsense. Get over it. Juliana's saying to us, the message is the story now. They have dropped all pretense of allegory, and they are going to retcon the show's past to fit in what they want it to be now. Julianne, we already know they've started it. Davros being the big one. Now the Black Guardian. You know, what are they going to call the White Guardian, for heaven's sake? Because if they've changed it, maybe we'll find out next month with Forbidden Planet's track record. Maybe they'll bring something out there. The Guardian of Fluffy Snowflakes or something like that.
Why can't they just leave things alone and do their own stuff? You know, it's like, God's sake.
Because they haven't got the imagination.
I know they're the imagination to come up with decent stuff, I know, but they could just not touch the old stuff, you know, leave it alone, you know?
Yeah. RTD is the Pink Guardian. Yeah, true. And Matt is saying to us, knowing modern Doctor Who, they will turn either the Black or White Guardian into a woman. Actually, they can do. That is actually acceptable when it comes to the Guardians, because the Guardians can present themselves a bit like Zeus. You know, the stories of Zeus. If he was appearing in front of a Greek athlete, he would become a slightly older, butcher, stronger Greek athlete. If he was trying to court, there's a word for you, and a very attractive woman, he could turn himself into all sorts of things, couldn't he, to woo her? You know, but here the Guardians can't. That's why I thought the woman in white in the David Tennant last 2 episodes, I was convinced that was the White Guardian.
All right, yeah.
I thought there's the White Guardian in a different guise, and he hasn't got it. You know,
as opposed to his mum,
as opposed to his mother. I thought for me, it's the White Guardian come to warn him.
It'd be more interesting if it was, to be honest.
Yeah. Enspiel has a lovely story here for us. I used to see Valentine Dial at the train station. He was a lovely chap and terribly polite. I'm sure he was. I never got to meet him.
I mean,
I'm gutted. I'm gutted
about him at Longleat.
He was at Longleat, wasn't he, Brian? I never met him at all.
Got a couple of photos of him. Got fairly close, but didn't get to meet him.
He had this reputation as well, didn't he? As Enspiel is saying that he was a very nice man, one of the nicest men in show business, and yet he always played these big, nasty, evil characters,
like Delgado as well. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, Robert is saying to us, well, they couldn't exactly call it the Ginger Traitor trilogy. Why not?
I don't know about that.
I think Catherine Fate in those 3 Christmas episodes.
Yeah.
I think they could do. I think they'd sell a few on that, really. I think that'd be quite funny. Golden Age Geek, hello to you.
Slipback, wasn't he?
He was in Slipback.
Slipback, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Which we've reviewed on this channel, haven't we, Paul? We did that.
We have,
ages ago on the Sound of Whoosic playlist. Go and have a look at that. Golden Age Geek is saying, this may be controversial, but Human Nature, the Family of Blood is my favourite story from the revival. It's not perfect, but I think it's a great story where the romance works as he becomes John Smith. I don't think it's controversial to like those episodes at all, because they are really good. It's just we don't like the author on this channel. But no, it's not controversial. They're great episodes. They are really good episodes. Is he now the guardian of colour and the voice of deep thought, says Adrian James? What, is that you or what?
That's
from
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah, he's in that as well.
Yeah, he's the voice of deep thought. It's ages since I watched Hitchhiker's, Adrian. I'll have to get the DVD out to tell you. I'll have to go back to that one.
I have to say, the Guardian of Colour sounds like he works for Dulux or something like that, doesn't he? Really?
It does. Yeah. Hi to Legion of James. The Black Guardian has absolutely nothing to do with race. Only those shallow people who only see life through a lens of race will make it into something more. Projection of their own racist views. It is. And as I've said, this weekend, we've actually seen that coming through across. It's just ridiculous, and they're all bending the knee, aren't they? Say, oh, we can't do that, we can't do it. It's just a character, and to impose your own political belief on the character like that. Oh, I don't believe it could be called black because that could be deemed as racist. That says more about you as making a decision than it does about the rest of us who don't see that, because none of us have seen that before. It really is ridiculous. It's just, we are Britain, we are not America. And things like the Black Guardian, he was nasty and bad. And the White Guardian, he was nice and light and good.
Yeah.
Why are they obsessed with all this nonsense? We're going backwards in society, not forwards, because of these obsessions that these idiot tick boxes have.
I mean, to be honest, the characters were quite nuanced, really, weren't they? Because although you had at the start of Rebus operation, the TARDIS stops, the doors open, all this light comes in, you wonder what the chuff's going on. The story hasn't started yet or everything, and he's out there where this chap is sat in a wicker chair having drinks and
a little cocktail.
Yeah, and whilst he tells the doctor that he's got this job for him, there's just that air of menace, isn't there? What will happen if I don't? Nothing ever. So he's not nicey, is he? But he's there. He's there for the cause of good and balance in the universe.
He's firm but Farian.
Yeah. Oh, very good.
But that's the brilliant thing about characters that nobody is truly 100% good. Nobody is truly 100%. Even the White Guardian has to have the balance within him of light and darkness. It was also portrayed in the original Star Wars, wasn't it, really? Every Jedi has the balance of light and darkness within them. It's knowing how to control it. And that's what they've done. So the White Guardian knows how to control that little darkness side he has in there, which he has to have because this other fella he knows, this other person here, has been consumed by it and hasn't got an iota of good in him. So there's the balance. This is what these idiots today don't realize. The original Doctor Who was actually a story, and it was thought out and it was presented well. And you lot are coming along here, rewriting it on a daily basis. Knock it off, quite frankly. You don't. Leave it alone. Go and mess with your own woke Who. Leave our Doctor Who alone. Leave Davros alone. Leave the Guardians alone. Leave the Key to Time alone. Leave Gala Fray alone. Leave the Time Lords. Leave everything alone. Go and worry about your own stuff, because nobody's watching that. So go and sort it out yourselves and fight amongst yourselves in the corner. It's like kids, isn't it? It's absolutely ridiculous. Paul Rowton's saying to us here, oh, please, just stop already. I wish they would.
Yeah.
Paul, it's good to see you, Paul. Give me an email, please. It's good to see you. Marjorie is saying, what the hell? Isn't it incredible, Marjorie? It's just ridiculous, isn't it? And John, hiya, John. I've been waiting for some Black Guardian nonsense, and here it is. Predictable, wasn't it?
You couldn't make this up, did you, really?
Well, no. No, but here we go. Oh, Gord says Woodhouse 122, and right says Lee Smith.
I mean, if they try and make the Guardian one of this pantheon of bollocks or whatever it's supposed to be, then you saw that ridiculous bloke in a dress, Maestro, that was doing all this and killing people and things like that, and directly directly affecting things. But if you look back at the Black Guardian trilogy, you know, he said very clearly to Turlough, you know, I can't be seen to act in this. I must not be involved, or must not get involved. So it was all about directing and controlling and influencing other people to do the things that he wanted, but not doing it directly. Whereas Maestro, he was wandering around zapping people left, right, and centre. And it's not what that kind of, they're not the same. They're not the same. They're just not the same.
But the irony is on that one, of course, is that not one of them sees something wrong about a fella dressing up in drag and calling himself a woman when he's not. And now, of course, because he's done all the nonsense, you're still not. So not one of them sees that there's a problem with that. And that might be offensive to more people than the word Black Guardian. You know, that's acceptable. Again, we're looking at the hypocrisy of these idiots. Really, really, they drive me crazy, everybody. They really, really do. And this is where Doctor Who's at now, because it's in the grip of these Muppets. Muppets is too nice a word because I like the Muppets. But, you know, it's a real case of, you know, it is, oh, we've got to mess with that. We've got to mess with that. And I'm just wondering about how it's going to present it, because if there's now a T-shirt with the Guardian of Chaos, and if they are true to form and bring out the sequel, if you like, next month, what will the White Guardian be? Stay tuned with us, because we'll talk about it probably. Robert Payne is saying, no, this is the wrong name. He's the Black Guardian, and he always will. Just like Davros will always be Davros, the Black Guardian, especially on this channel, will always stay the Black Guardian. But it has given me a great idea for a show. Copyright Who's Used, coming soon. We've all got Glenn Piper, very sad, messing about with our history again. It's the Black Guardian. Nobody will tell me to change it. Quite right, Glenn. And you know we're all going to be with you on that one as well. Ironic T-shirt, yes, because they also did the Maestro ones just a few months ago. And you know, no one batted an eyelid about that, or was allowed to bat an eyelid about that. But here we go with this, you know, we can't have the word Black Guardian. Blooming hell. Hugh Janus, nice to see you, mate. How are you? Not the Urban Guardian. That could be, yeah, maybe RTD, maybe Hugh Janus, you can give RTD that one, because surely he can't muck that one up. Can you imagine? Here's my special powered pitchfork, you know, and my trowel, my sonic trowel. Can you remember that? Was that actually in Doctor Who?
Yeah, River Song had one. Yeah.
Oh, so it wasn't a skit. It wasn't from the Curse of Fatal Death.
It was real. It was real. Yeah.
God, how pathetic. Bill, hello, Bill. Happy Sunday to you. The Guardian of Chaos. Wasn't he the Black Guardian? He still is. He still is. Let's go around all the forbidden shops and scrub off the chaos and write black.
In black marker pen as well.
In rainbow marker.
This is a fake.
Hey, listen to this, but Peter Venkman. So is the White Guardian the Guardian of Order? It's still the well, it wasn't even Order, because the White Guardian, as I say, wasn't 100% good. He wasn't Glinda, for heaven's sake. Although, if you believe Wicked and all the prequels, she wasn't that 100% either, was she?
Well, nobody is. Let's be honest. You know,
you can't be. You can't,
boring if they were, isn't it? But
yeah, exactly.
Who's going to buy this? Who's going to buy this? Because we're not. You know, and let's face it, we do have form for buying decent merchandise. You know, I look at you two, put the light on here, what's behind me. You know, we do have form. They don't. You know, all these soap dodgers, they don't go out for the merchandise, do they? They've said it very clearly. They do not buy the merchandise. So who are they going to be selling this to?
I don't know.
Heading straight for landfill, I bet.
I'm quite surprised, because all this started, of course, with last year with the 60th anniversary with Forbidden Planet bringing out a range of T-shirts, then they're celebrating each Doctor, and then a few others nobody's heard of.
Yeah,
or I certainly never heard of them until recently. Yes, please, well, give over. And then they carried on coasters and T-shirts and stuff like this. But then to carry, I mean, it just, if you're going to do it properly, you know. And why didn't they just bring out the alternative? Why didn't they bring one out saying the Black Guardian and one saying the Guardian of Chaos? That's, people have the choice, because he's not the Guardian of Chaos. It's the Black Guardian, FP. Get a grip. Bedouin's with us, guys. Do you think they'll be re-editing old Westerns so those in black cowboy hats will be the heroes? Yes, absolutely. I think they will.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Trans heroes.
Yeah. I don't.
That's only on the radio. Ian.
Listening on the tranny radio, that means everything now, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, that's something else. That's the word we used to use years ago when we were kids. That's the way that meant the transistor radio. Apparently, you can't say it now without getting penalised or.
You'd be going on a work job and they'd be going along in a tranny van.
Yeah. But this is why the American influences hit us again. And yet it's a British word that means something different, but they guilt us into not using it. Oh, you can't say that now because this. What? I mean, a British slang.
It's a word. It's simply a word. That's the key thing,
Yeah, but they don't like words, do they? They're dictating to us again. We will most likely now get a grey Guardian, says Matt the Silent Wee Music King. It's been done. I seem to remember some Doctor Who fiction in the Wilderness years bringing in the Grey Guardian, who was a right wuss, quite frankly, because he was in the middle of the other two. And he was very odd. But I'm sure that's been done somewhere. I can't remember if it was a New Adventure or BBC Books. Does anybody in the chat know? Because it's too long ago. But I remember thinking, oh, for heaven's sake, what's your role in the universe, please? I don't know. Tell you what, says Garbage. Let's just cancel the entire Doctor Who catalogue before Jodie Whittaker, shall we? Because this is getting ridiculous. I just wish they'd leave it alone, Garbage. That's all. I just wish they wouldn't go back and start saying, "Oh, we have to do this." God knows what they're going to do to Talons of Weng Chiang and all this.
I forgot about that. Yeah. God, yes.
I mean, this is all there, isn't it? And that argument is still rumbling on in certain dark quarters of X, which nobody wants to learn about. It's just ridiculous. Richard is also pointing out, so no more Black Daleks then. Good point. Good point. I would like to know if this has been sanctioned by the production team. I think it is, because all merchandise used to have to go through the production team for sign-off.
Yeah.
But I think it's insulting, A, that they've changed the name, and B, they've used Valentine Dial's image there when that's not his character. It was the Black Guardian.
Yeah.
What else we got there? Oh, thank you very much for all your chat. It's lovely to see you all, by the way. Really, really good. Why didn't they just call him the Guardian of Darkness like they did in the show sometimes?
Yeah.
Well, because it was always known as the Black Guardian.
I wonder if they ever repeat any of these stories, the trilogy, for instance, will they just delete out the word black when they mention his name?
I hate to think we are going to be coming very shortly to the subject of the iPlayer, everyone. I wonder if they're ever going to start editing that if they get the chance. That's all I'm saying for now. Stay with us. It's coming up very shortly. He was never ever the Guardian of Chaos, says Stephen. It's not racial. It's good versus evil, like on a chessboard. The idiots. That was the point. Exactly the point, Stephen. There, like that. And look who he's got. He's got Toby there from the Impossible Planet, the Satan bit in his avatar there.
I saw that earlier. It's very nice. Yeah, very good.
Great picture there, Stephen. Yeah, but that was the point, wasn't it? And it was supposed to be the chess pieces and all this sort of stuff. Black versus white. Honestly, I remember at the turn of the century, people that would be my age now saying to me, as somebody in his late 20s, "Oh, we're going to have to watch all this PC stuff. It's going to go too far. It's going to be too far." And I was, at the time thinking to myself, "Oh, don't be daft. It's not going to." How right they were. I just can't get it. And I just think they must be around now somewhere, hopefully retired and having a lovely life, looking at all this going, thank God I don't have to deal with this. And yet we do.
The bizarre thing about it is, when does this stop? Because if you went back 20 years, they want to eradicate the past 20 years and start again? Because then the next couple of years, there'll be something in that that'll need change for the future if that's the way things go. It doesn't make any sense, It
doesn't make sense, does it? It really, really doesn't. I don't know. I just think it's all mad. Thank you, Sean, for your story. That I think it's all insane. This is what this is what I was referring to over the weekend. I'm not going to read that out, but you can look at that for yourselves, everybody. Yes, absolutely. I mean, what a horrible woman she is. She's totally, and she's allowed to be an MP. She should have been sacked yesterday, in my eyes. I tell you. What else we got here? They're just baiting and trolling Doctor Who fans, says Lee. Lee, you could be right, but it's working, isn't it? And the more they do it, the more Doctor Who fans say, I'm done with this now. And they've got another series on the horizon where they're going to plead with us, I guarantee you. Please come and watch our show. Please come and watch our show. Please make it a success.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
boot on the other foot.
Not for them.
Yeah.
Not for
Oh,
them.
not for them.
I can
Not
assure
for them. No. No.
Thank you for all
We'll
your
have a
comments
laugh.
on this. Yeah,
We have
yeah.
lots of fun. Yeah.
I really appreciate all your comments coming from this, from all the Who views. Nice to see you all. Glenn is saying, I have never thought Black Guardian had anything to do with black people. What a joke. It hasn't. It never did. You know, and I've said it before, Glenn. I was going to say it again, because these idiots are obsessed with labels and segregation, and are highlighting differences in people on an hourly basis. I'm seeing more than I ever have in my entire life. I am now seeing skin color. I am seeing religious belief. I am seeing race. I am seeing where people come from more. I am seeing all these things to the point where I'm horrified in myself, because I've never seen it before, because all I saw was another person to get to know, you know. But they've introduced all this to me, and then they want to send people like me on unconscious bias training. Actually, no, thank you. You've given me all the bias I need, you unhealthy people. You absolute ridiculous muppets. Stay away from me.
Well, it's said this
Horrible,
before
nasty
already, but if these characters like Davros and the Black Guardian are so problematic, just leave them where they are. Don't use
Exactly.
them.
But are they problematic, Paul? That's the other question, isn't
Well,
it?
they're
Is it
not
gonna be
really. I don't think they are.
problematic?
But if they think they are, don't touch them. Then leave them
They're in a
alone.
minority.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's the minority. I mean, any one of us could go to a Doctor Who convention with a Black Guardian T-shirt. Well, there's an idea. I'll just make a note of that. With a Black Guardian T-shirt, and nobody in that hall is going to bat an eyelid or come up and saying, "Oh, you're ist or phobe," or whatever it's going to be, because we all know who the character is. Especially when you've got the blooming late great wonderful Valentine Dials image slapped all over it.
Yeah.
Shocking, isn't it? It really is shocking. Paul's saying it all. Good grief, what next? I really wish that these wokies would just leave our entertainment alone and get a life. They can't, because they don't know what real life is. They've had to make a fictional one up. And I often say as well, Paul, that it's because our generations managed to ban the bomb, free Mandela, do this and do that, gay rights, women's rights, all this sort of stuff. We didn't leave anything else for them to fight for, so they've had to create stuff. So what they've done is they've destroyed everything, and then they're going on about other stuff. You know, oh, we've got to have this back, get this back. Oh, this rights and this rights. You've already got your rights, you utter clowns, because it was all sorted. Stupid idiots. What's this from?
Really, aren't they?
Oh, they're just ignorant.
Yeah.
Ignorant. I recall telling a girlfriend, says Bill, at the time that the Doctor couldn't give the key to time to the White Guardian, as the Black and White Guardians were two sides of the same being. It was, yeah, I mean, they could well be Black and White. They absolutely could well be. But if you remember in the Rebos operation, in the Armageddon Factor, the Black Guardian manifests himself as the White Guardian. Remember, he's got the white cap and all this sort of stuff, and pretends he's that, makes a slip up, which the Doctor's clever enough to hear, and then reveals his true color. Which was naughty, nasty, horrible, chaos. Fabulous stories. One day it might come out on Blu-ray. Come into that in a sec. Does this mean they will go after Star Wars and the chaos side of the Force, as Mark Greaves? They have already, haven't they? Haven't they already done that? I'm sure they have.
Well, they're trying to eliminate all the characters and start their own Star Wars universe, aren't they?
Yeah.
But you can just do that and set it 300, 400, 500 years in the future, can't you? You don't have to go back and deliberately take a steaming one over everything that's gone before. But they just can't help it, can they? I think touching the old stuff in some way is, in their head, gives their rubbish legitimacy.
Yeah.
Yes. Possibly,
and it doesn't. I mean, it's just, but in their head, it does.
Do you think they're also trying to prepare proper Doctor Who, 1963 to 1989, with a bit added in 96, for this new minority audience they're desperate to appease? Oh, we can't have.
So they're cutting out all the offensive bits, is what you're saying. Yeah, they're going through the catalogue and doing that.
Yeah, because they seem to think, as we know from our shows covering the Gatwick era, they seem to think that because of these stupid reports and certain people saying to them, "Oh, I have to watch old Doctor Who at 6,000 miles per hour" or something stupid like that, you know. They seem to think that people today, especially the kids, are fickle and they are easy to upset. Now, some of them are, but that's the parents' fault. Stop wrapping your kids in cotton wool and get them outside playing, for heaven's sake.
Well, can I just have to reiterate that with our other panelists who come on occasionally who are younger than us, don't agree with that, do they? Because they like it. So it's not across the board, is it? That's the thing.
It's not across the board. And I think it comes up to the family background and the way they're raised. because they've been raised by actual adults rather than children being raised by children, or activists, or parents that are going to bend the knee and say, yes, of course we can become a little girl or little boy, all this nonsense. Do you know what I mean? These overzealous, like liberals, you know, that sort of person. I think you have to have a balance. If you're going to have children, be an adult with the children and say no to them occasionally and tell them the right from wrong. And this is what Doctor Who back in our day did. Proper Doctor Who shows you good and bad, right and wrong. Simple as that.
Well, I'm with the first Doctor. Everyone needs a job good smack bottom, if you ask me. That's what I'm saying.
I think we might see. I think we might see for the bedwetter audience. I think we might see a few more variants of what they did with the Daleks. You know, faster paced, loads of actual story cut out, very, very lightweight, very superficial, ridiculous and totally unsuitable music dumped over the top of it, and it repackaged as something for that brain dead audience that they love so much. Not that they'll buy it anyway.
No,
but I think that's what they'll do. But I think they tamper with our original Doctor Who just because it's the only way to try and engage with us, or rather against us now, because we aren't watching their show.
It's it's interesting that, like a punishment, you mean, to all of us. Thank God for all this.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, though, having been enjoying thoroughly season 25 box set and watching some of the special editions, they are superb. Recommend them when you get a chance to see them.
Yeah,
5 years, JT, for you, 5 years.
When it comes out. I mean, but that's slightly different because that's an addition to the original story.
Yes,
but imagine if they'd gone in there and edited Davros out, because RTD doesn't want Davros in his life support system, and he still is in that story.
Yeah,
the outcry would have been around the world. Can you imagine that? And the sales would have suffered. So, and this is what they're forgetting: sales are very important. Would the Rainbow Guardian in this new era? Says Time Lord Victorious. Yeah, I'm expecting Bungle, Jeffrey.
Wasn't that Maestro already? Wasn't it?
God, that's more than that, isn't it? That was just ridiculous. I can't believe again hypocrisy of it all. The Black Dalek is now the Dalek of Chaos. Then says Rick Storm. And hello to Daniel Raven. Not seen you on the channel before, Daniel. So welcome to Who's Views if you're new to us. Lovely to see you. In traditional storytelling terms, white and black just means night and day. That's why white was always the good side. When you look at everything, Daniel, though, isn't it? Everything, fairy tales, some really cracking good stories, a lot of fiction, even a lot of crime fiction, a detective and the baddie, Sherlock and Moriarty, good and the bad, the black and the white, yin and yang, what have you, the Doctor and the Master, the Doctor and the Daleks, the Doctor and everybody else, it's all there. And that was the moral of storytelling, and it all goes back to those original fairy tales, the Snow White and the Queen. We can't talk about that one at the moment, can we?
Yeah.
All I'm going to say about that is flop. I mean, come on. I mean, this is just mad. This is what these people rewriting our Doctor Who history don't understand. Madman in the Box, nice to see you. Hi, all these people can't exist without the race grift and other things, the gender grift. Their dictates on this, what they feel is equality, which is actually anything but. You've got to get into that box so we understand you, is not equality, it's segregation. Utter muppet. So thank you for all your chats. So this has really hit a nerve with everybody here. We've got to be careful of this. They've done it with Davros. They're trying to do it with the Black Guardian. Who else up there? Is that printed on a black T-shirt, says Dalek Eye. I think it is. DEI has devalued recognition of people's ability and reduced everyone's value to gender and skin tone, irrespective of any relevant qualities or competence. And it's removed all ability to understand depth, says Legion of James. Wow.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
Well said. Yeah, absolutely. And it's right, isn't it? And yet it was enforced on us with all this nonsense and all these so-called alleged charities cropping up from nowhere to say, this is how you should teach this, pushing an activist agenda. Oh, goodness me. Now, this is a good one from Nibbles. I remember in high school, they had to get rid of all the blackboards as they were seen as problematic. I remember something like this as well. They suddenly became whiteboards. That's not problematic.
Yeah.
Why wasn't that problematic? Because it's all right on that side, isn't it? And then they used all those idiot dry white markers, which you can't get off the boards properly like chalk.
Yeah.
Absolute nonsense. I remember when we were at primary school, guys, we had to take turns to clean the board every night. So one of us had to do it every night, clean the board. I used to hate that job. You had to get a white tissue.
When I was at school, if you got into trouble, they chucked the duster at you. You know that.
Yes, same with me. Yeah. I still can hear.
Bloody good
I
shots.
was well behaved, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was me, but I'm just saying it.
No, but I remember Mrs. Pugh. I can still remember the whistle going past my ear this way and landing on the desk behind me with such a thud, I nearly crap myself.
And the chalk dust everywhere and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And meant to hit me, not miss me. That was a knock me out as the 7-8-year-old I was. Well, it's my own fault for talking to my mate in class when she wanted us to work, but that's what happened here in the UK. Bring those days back, I say. Come on, grow a few.
It's Dickensian, isn't it? It's fantastic.
It really is. Bring it back. Hurrah. Let's be terribly about all this. So it's great to see. Look at all these comments, everybody. Paul Rose is saying to us, sorry, my internet just dropped out for a few minutes. Can you say all that again? Sure. Let's go right back to the beginning. No. You can watch it on playback, young man. And thank you to Sean, who's busy packing and licking. Go get them, JT. Go get them. Yeah, that's what we're here for, Sean, isn't it? With all of you Who viewers with us, that's what we're here to do. We are here to go get them because they are just all pathetic. But the big one right now is leave proper Doctor Who alone and continue messing up your new woke modern nonsense. What do you say, Richard? I'm at the stage now where I just lay back and laugh now at all the crap they come out with, and that's what we can do. That's what we've got to do. Because guess what? As I've just said, look at all this. Thank God, everybody, for physical media.
Yeah.
Seamlessly taking us into the next story now.
I'll need to write on the front of my Black Guardian trilogy, the Guardian of Chaos trilogy with a pen now, you know. Just so it's accurate, obviously, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, everybody? I've just bled into the next item very seamlessly, and these two ruined it.
It was a fantastic segue, JT.
That was my fault.
We are very disrespectful.
For heaven's sake, it's absolutely outrageous, isn't it? But we are now moving on to this next one, because you would have heard this next story, and it is another outrage, isn't it? We are, of course, going to be talking now about the BBC iPlayer, which is paid for by the BBC license fee. It's part of the service. If you are paying your BBC license fee, there you go. But this week, of course, the big story is they have just removed 2 classic Tom Baker stories from the arsenal of proper Doctor Who. Radio Times was one of the many people that covered this, or organizations that covered this in the week. It did hit some of the national press here in the UK as well, but we're going to stick with the Radio Times for this one. Have a look at this headline. This was Doctor Who removes 2 classic Tom Baker stories from BBC iPlayer. The BBC has issued a statement. Whoopie-doo. Yes, so this is from Friday the 1st of November. Here we go then. Last year, as part of Doctor Who's 60th anniversary celebrations, the BBC announced that more than 800 episodes of the show from across the classic and modern runs would live on iPlayer, something that showrunner Russell T Davies had made clear was a big ambition of his. Various spin-off series also returned to the iPlayer, including the Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood, Class, and behind-the-scenes series Doctor Who Confidential. However, there are a few notable absences, most prominently the first ever serial, An Unearthly Child, which kicked off Doctor Who and saw William Hartnell's first appearance as the first Doctor. That's certainly a notable absence, isn't it, everybody? The first ever Doctor Who is not there. Oops.
And the Radio Times has called him the first Doctor as well.
Oh,
they do that.
Yeah.
The Radio Times tends to do that. If they're talking about one of the others, they call it by the title, like War Doctor or whatever. Here we go. The season 13 stories, Terror of the Zygons and The Seeds of Doom, are now both absent from iPlayer after fans noticed an expiration date of Friday the 1st of November on both serials. The stories were released in 1975 and 1976, respectively, and starred Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor alongside Elizabeth Sladen as companion Sarah Jane Smith. Both of them were written by Robert Banks Stewart and directed by Douglas Camfield. The BBC told the Radio Times in a statement. Now, this is the statement. This is the statement, everybody. So hang on to this. The Whoniverse contains over 800 hours of Doctor Who content, making it the biggest collection of Doctor Who programming in one place, which includes all episodes that we have the rights to.
Nah, I've got these. There we go. You can't take them away. I've got them here.
This is the point, isn't it? This is what we've been saying for a year, over a year now on this channel, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
Make sure you've got the physical media. I mean, I learned this lesson going back home years ago when the internet stuff started happening with the downloads for music. And I spent a small fortune one evening downloading singles because I suddenly found out you couldn't get them in Woolworths anymore. You know, so I had to download all these singles. Where are they now? What happened to them? I don't know where it is. It's in this ether up here somewhere. What's it called? A cloud or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. But I spent 50, 60 quid that night. What a waste of my time and money. Yeah. Because they weren't giving me the physical media. Even today, you still can't get aspects of music on physical media. So I will never have it in the house or buy it or invest in the artist because I don't want it on download. But this is what we've been saying, Who viewers, as well. If you've got the physical media of these two fantastic stories, these are the British covers for Terror of the Zygons and Seeds of Doom on DVD, then keep them. Just keep them. Love them. Take them for a meal. Take them to a club. Court them. Marry them. Do whatever you want to, but make sure you've got the physical media.
And make sure you wait done afterwards.
Absolutely.
Pardon?
Does it affect the 50th where the Zygons appeared and the Capaldi two-parter as well? Because Banks Stewart must have some rights claim over those episodes as well. Because I mean, if it meant that the 50th was removed as well, that's a real spit in the eye.
I think it's a different sort of rights issue because those episodes were written by the 50th was written by Moffat and not Robert Banks Stewart. So it's interesting though that we're learning more. Yeah. It's interesting that we're learning more now. So basically, a BBC iPlayer spokesman added, our programs are only available for a set amount of time, and after this expires, they are removed from iPlayer. How long we can make content available comes down to the rights agreements, or there could be legal or technical issues that affect it. We aim to make programs available for as long as we possibly can. Both Terror of the Zygons and the Seeds of Doom are both still available on BritBox and ITVX via the premium subscription. So basically what they're saying now is that these two Tom Baker stories are joining An Unearthly Child not being available on the iPlayer due to a rights dispute. So, I've also been told as well that it comes down to the fact that there are two different sort of rights issues going on here. There's the rights issues that covered DVD and Blu-ray commercial releases, and then there was the iPlayer, which was never part of the plan until RTD came back along and said, "Oh, wouldn't it be a good idea if we do this?" Not real. Again, he was thinking as a fan, not thinking of a business person, and making the same mistake as he did in 2004, thinking the Daleks were the BBCs and he could do what he wanted with the Daleks because we had all this then. This is where this started. None of them are learning, and yet if somebody tried to use one of RTD's creations, all hell would break loose.
Oh yeah.
They get paid for it all, you see. So basically, I think this is down to the estates or somebody that's involved with it, whether it be the director or something like this, to say, no, you've got to renegotiate that. You've got to pay for it. So the same as what's happening with The Unearthly Child. And in my eyes, and this might be controversial, good for the estates.
Yeah.
Why not? This is, I mean, you can't just think, oh, it's theirs. It's ours to do with as you. No, you have to honor and pay for the talent that put it together or wrote it or whatever it's going to be, don't you?
Yeah. The interesting thing about this, I never mentioned any of these rights issues when they launched it last year, did they? They didn't say, you've got it here, but only for a limited time only,
Which they should have done.
Yeah.
I think they should have done, because I think it would have been a bigger hit for them as well as part of this ongoing Whoniverse nonsense.
Yeah.
Perhaps if they said, right, you've to celebrate the 60th anniversary, you've got all the stories on iPlayer for a year. Have fun.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Going back to rights and stuff, the Unearthly Child thing on iPlayer, they have Who's Doctor Who, and there's a section on there from an Unearthly Child, and they've cut the picture, cut the moving footage, and they put photographs up, and you hear the soundtrack of the story, but not the pictures.
Wow.
So they're taking no chances. But I agree with you, JT. It's all to do with iPlayer, not DVD/Blu-ray. And I reckon season 1 will turn up at some point on Blu-ray because that's a separate thing, I think.
Well, I have been told this on good authority that the agreements for commercial release, i.e., okay, they have to be renegotiated every time there's a new one. So when they negotiated for VHS, apparently that was a lot easier than it was for DVD. And then when they went back to people to say, listen, we want to do Blu-rays, that's where people have suddenly, actually, there's money involved in this. Yeah. So that's where, that side of it comes into. So they're very delicate negotiations, I believe, allegedly, I'm told. But they are not difficult to do because it happens all the time. And if you've been, if you're an author, or if you're a family of an author, especially in something like this, you do get money coming in, so it's best to say yes in the long run, but it must be the right ones for you, I suppose, as well. So we're looking at different rights issue, but apparently when it comes to the iPlayer, now I'm hearing, this is all alleged, but I am hearing that in the case of the iPlayer, it was done, but it wasn't obviously done correctly because some of these had a time limit on them.
Yeah.
And that was something they were aware of, but didn't act on.
I'd heard another theory that someone said that's got a 2-year window for it. And then after that, that's it. And then they'll see what happens from there. So if some have been negotiated for 2 years, then that's great. But when's the next tranche of stories going to disappear, Yeah,
exactly. And bearing in mind that this particular season is not yet available on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Is it going to affect the Blu-ray? No, I don't think it will do, because as I said, I've been told that's a completely different issue. They will be fine for Blu-ray because that's a commercial release. But it makes you wonder what they're doing. So why don't they just close down the iPlayer now and get rid of it?
It's very embarrassing for the BBC, isn't it, that Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who, is available on an ITV platform, but not on the BBC's own.
Yeah.
That is embarrassing for them.
Yeah. Well, it is, isn't it, really? I just think it's just...
blisteringly funny.
It is in a sense, because they should know it's coming along, but I just think there's a certain arrogance to this, for the simple reason... it does remind me very much of the Dalek thing in 2003. Simply because, they just assumed. Now, had J&T been around, he would have said to the production team, actually, you're missing a very vital part of this, and it's called Terry Nation. You must speak to them first. But it's the same. It's absolutely the same. If Bob Baker has written a story, then that Bob Baker is to be paid for that story. And I know he's passed on, but his family would be paid for that. It's the same now with Robert Banks. I mean, he has passed on, but his family have to. So what are they missing here, guys? Am I missing something about this story? Because I just find it so arrogant of them if they're not doing it right. And then to come out with such a press release like that, statement saying, oh, we ran out of the issue, it's got to be removed now. Not even that we're trying to renegotiate, or we hope to have it back soon, or even plugging the own service of it's still available on DVD if you want to see it. You can now get them for £5. There you are. I'll do the job for them. You can get those DVDs, these two marvelous classic Tom Baker stories, these two in the United Kingdom. You can get them. There they are for £5 from all the usual stockists. And I'm going to mention them, HMV and Amazon. You can get them for around about £5. I saw these in HMV just a couple of weeks ago, £4.99.
If you've not got them, it's the best £10 you'll ever spend.
Oh my good God, they are absolute bona fide classics. There is no argument there. Yeah,
and if you watch them back to back, wow! Because from the same series, a big series that season. It's a massive season, isn't it? Who viewers? It's huge.
You've got a fantastic pair of leads, and of course you have Harry as well in the first one. But you're talking a fantastic production team. It's really approaching the top of its game, which it sustained for 2 or 3 years. But you've also got that added benefit of one of the best directors ever. Camfield ever.
Yeah. There's lots of our chums in the chat commenting about this. Buy the DVDs, pay once, says Paul Roughton.
Yep.
Yep. You know, and I can understand this question. I hope I've answered this before. But I'll just go for Stephen as well. Will this affect the season 13 box set? Now, there has been a lot of worries about this since this broke over the weekend, understandably, from fans going, "Oh God, is this going to mean that they're not going to be on the Blu-ray?" The Blu-ray agreements are totally different because that's commercial. The iPlayer isn't commercial because it's part of a different organized part of the BBC. The Blu-rays are there to be sold, so it's a different agreement. And from what I can tell, the majority of Doctor Who is cleared for Blu-ray release, allegedly. That's what I hear. That's what I'm told. Right. Don't worry about it. It's all fine. There you go. So I don't think...
Has there been any more developments of the Unearthly Child story that started off last
No. Well, there's not going to be. I mean, from the last thing I heard about it, they were looking into... negotiations. That's the word I'm going to use because that's the word I was told. Now, whether or not that's going to go into legalities, we have no idea. But at the moment, there's a stalemate, and there's no resolution coming, and it's not on the horizon. The gentleman in question wants what he wants, and the BBC is not prepared to give him what he wants. So, no Unearthly Child. However, the beginning box set is now still available on DVD in Asda for $10.99.
Yeah.
Again, get the physical stuff, everybody. Don't rely on all this download nonsense and streaming stuff, because they can take it away for whatever reason, as they've just proved to us, whenever they want. It really, really is. And as Nibbles is saying to us here, it just keeps getting worse for the BBC and Doctor Who.
I was initially concerned that there's someone in here who was questionable, and that's what the problem was. But luckily not. Yeah.
Don't mention that because they might go looking for it now, mightn't they?
Yeah.
Which might push up the DVD sales. Yes, there's somebody terribly problematic in those episodes. You get them for $4.99 from HMV. HMV. I'm available at whosviews1@gmail.com. Thank you very much. What else we got? They are still listed and play on Tubi and other apps. So it must be a different arrangements on those platforms, says Beta Fagment. They are. They're totally different. The American, out with the UK works totally different to within the UK. It's like our television anyway. We're also here as well when it comes to, the fact that they are tied up with BBC bureaucracy as well. I mean, it's very odd. These shows, though, which everybody needs to remember, were funded by the British public of the day and should therefore be inherited by the British public of the present. Everybody seems to forget about that, because how the BBC used to work is the TV license fee went towards productions. And those days, the BBC didn't farm out and work with independents. It made its own programs. I'd say 99% of the BBC output, guys, was BBC produced, British produced. And then they'd bring in things like Starsky and Hutch, Cagney and Lacey, Kojak, whatever, to show as fillers. So you got some of the American angle. And it usually was American, let's face it. We didn't get much of anything else, did we? It was all the American stuff, the blockbusters like Dallas and Dynasty. Yeah. And it was a sort of healthy balance. It was absolutely all BBC programming, but a small percentage of American blockbusters, which we liked, which we watched. Remember?
The Rockford Files, things like that. Yeah.
Things like that. But it was a healthy balance. Wonder Woman on a Saturday afternoon when Doctor Who was off air. I used to love that. I loved Wonder Woman. But, it was this, wasn't it, to see how their television was. And it was interesting because it was so different to ours. And then, you know, the American accents and stuff, we'd all go around going, oh, my God, and, talking like this because it was a thing at the time, wasn't it? Because it was new to us. But that's how it worked. So it always stays in my mind when I read things about this, saying, hang on a minute, but that was paid for by us. And as Doctor Who fans, it hurts because how many times have we bought these things that were all paid for by us?
Oh, yeah.
How many copies of Spearhead from Space do we all have?
4 at least. I think. Possibly 5.
Yeah, but it's a good question, isn't it? We invested in TV license fees. Our parents did, our grandparents did, their parents did, right? We've invested in the TV license fee. And we're still paying for those shows from yesteryear now, so that BBC Studios can make money off what we've already paid for. They can't even get it right on the iPlayer. Do you know what I'm saying, everybody?
We should get a free TV license, to be honest. That'd be fair. Yeah. We're paid for it over and over,
That would really bring them down, wouldn't it? Mark Poskate, nice to see you. How come the BBC has a rights issue, but BritBox doesn't? This is suspicious. Well, I might be mentioning BritBox a little bit later on, if I remember. Teddy Reggie Rock's with us. I have Phil. Glenn McCoy, best not get ideas about blocking Time Lash.
If only
you can only wish, can't you? That's the thing.
And Black Modo. Look at this change of name there for Black Modo. I started watching iPlayer halfway through a series. The screen would go black, color of chaos, and just audio. Really? Oh. That takes me back to the old days when that would actually happen on live television. Do you remember, fellas? You'd be in the middle of
power cut, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'd rather watch it on ITVX, to be honest, as Rick Storm. Frank Spencer's joining us as well, having just got in from a firework display. What? Oh, I see. They're doing it before it. Right, fair enough. Well,
or was it Frank Spencer doing his Vesuvius? That was from one of his episodes, wasn't it, with fireworks inside his coat?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Saturdays after Doctor Who were a bit of a blur because my mind was still focusing on the episode for hours later until Morecambe and Wise would come on, and then you sort of forget about it for a little while. Here we are with Mark again. I think these writers must be withdrawing from their deal with the BBC because of something we don't know about yet. It's down to payment. It'll have to be. Yeah. And it might not be the writers. It could be an artist. It could be a director. It could be a producer. It could be anybody involved with the production. Any one of them could turn around at any time, surely, and say, hang on a minute. You're not paying me for that, or you haven't paid me enough for that. So it could be anybody, really. But yeah, it's something that I think it's all down to money. I'm sure of it. JT, Disney are notorious for not paying creators for their work, especially past contracts after they've bought the company. For example, Fox, Marvel, or Lucasfilm. Are they? Are they really? Well, Disney, in this case, doesn't have anything to do with this because this is the BBC studios themselves with their iPlayer. But I didn't know that. Did you know that, guys?
No, I didn't know. No.
That's ridiculous,
I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised either. No, I was going to say
I'm not surprised either. What's this? Frank Spencer's getting very technical with us. Use Handbrake to rip your DVDs, then upload them to your YouTube account and place them as private. You then have a digital copy and it saves your hard media. Ooh.
Handbrake's a software app. DVD ripper.
We're probably not allowed to mention all that, so we'll just add an alleged to that as well.
Yes,
because they'll come after us as well because you can't do that here because it's still the BBC, isn't it? You know, it's still their property, or 50% their property, or whatever it's going to be now. Daniel is saying to us, I really do hate this Whoniverse nonsense. Corporate branding minded gits appropriating a stupid fan word that most fans hated. Yes, it's like I can't stand the word. What's it called? That fan thing?
Whovians.
Yeah. But also the Whoniverse, they trademarked it and copyrighted it, Daniel. So did Bad Wolf. They came up with a company called Whoniverse Inc. We were using that term years before any of that lot came around. The Whoniverse was created in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, as a sort of tongue-in-cheek thing, you know, as play on words, and then it sort of stuck. And they go and say, "Oh, we'll own that now." What a bloody cheek! See, again, it's an example of something unoriginal. Oh, we'll have that word. We will do that.
A few years ago, BT tried to copyright, I believe, allegedly tried to copyright the term hyperlink.
No, did they?
Apparently, because they said that I believe, allegedly, they said that years before in their development stage, they used the term first. So they were trying to, I think it got thrown out, quite rightly.
That's bizarre. They'll be copyrighting the word wormhole next, because we all use that in science fiction terms. In fact, I think I'll do that after the show. And anybody who uses it, woe betide you. Could the Knights holders have seen how successful the DVD sales were, and when Blu-ray negotiations began, thought we'll have some of that? Again, Bill, that's different to the iPlayer. All that was done and dusted, I believe, and apparently they weren't asking huge, big fees. But there are other things that could be the case where it comes off the iPlayer. It could be the fact that they had a limited time for it and they haven't negotiated it properly. They had a limited time for it. They don't want to negotiate for it again. They want to negotiate for it, but somebody said, well, if you want another year, the price goes up. It's their right to do that. It really, really is. We can't, because we don't know the full details. But I just thought it's also very interesting that the BBC have at last turned around and said what they said about the rights. You know, they don't own all of it. Some of the
The
60th
irony,
anniversary.
the bizarre irony of this is, if you look back to when they were junking episodes in the 70s, and if they've foreseen the iPlayer, there are much more episodes on there in the first place. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it is going from worse to worse, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Woodhouse 122. It's lovely to see you. Some of the 60th anniversary extras and the Daleks in colour are also due to vanish in the near future. Good
riddance.
Nobody's going to miss those, though, are they? Because
Yeah.
I've been saying Woodhouse 122. I reckon that proper Doctor Who 63 to 89 has been more popular than the new nonsense. I'm absolutely determined that's true. And as they go back onto the iPlayer and they go, oh, let's have a look at this. I think because the stories are engaging, and whatever they say, I think children and young people are still engaged by a traditional story. I think they'd watch a 4-parter and 6-parter, especially something like The Seeds of Doom, because it's actually a 4-parter and a 2-parter if you look at it with the same baddie.
Yeah.
You know, and I think because the story is engaging and it's thrilling and it's exciting, and you've got some great performances in there, especially from Tom and Liz, I think they'd sit down and go, ooh, brilliant. The Zygons, they would have gone back to look at the Zygons because they've been introduced to it in the Day of the Doctor.
Yeah.
They would have recognized it and thought, well, I'll watch this, and what a great story for them to go and look at.
Harrison Chase, though, what a baddie.
Yeah.
Oh,
What a baddie. It's superbly played. But
Tony Beckley's brilliant, yeah.
Isn't he? Yeah.
And that Garbage Crusher as well. No offense, Garbage, in the chat. That Crusher. Oh my word!
Fantastic performance,
isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know it got me because of course that's the first time I'd seen him in that, and years later when I was introduced to one of my all-time favorite films, The Italian Job.
Yeah, Camp Freddy.
Camp Freddy.
Yeah.
What a difference for performance, and yet still quite subtle Camp Freddy, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's sort of evolved to where. And I just think, what an actor! How brilliant was that? And I saw him in something else recently. What did I see him in recently? That just happens to be on the. Oh, it was the thing last night from the Hammer Horrors, basically. I can't remember what it was now, but it was all weird. He was on a ship as a young man.
Yeah, is that one got tentacles coming onto the boat and stuff? Yeah, I know what it's called. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, and it's got this really weird, spooky Hammer Horror type opening. It came on Legend. Yeah, and it's all orange. And that's a dead ship. What was it called, everybody? Center of the Earth or something?
I remember the first time I saw The Italian Job, I was really impressed that Noel Coward was in it. That was bizarre.
I love The Italian Job. Maybe we should do a review on The Italian Job.
Yeah, great film. Yeah.
Tear it all up.
Yeah.
Great
British. That would be really good, actually. That would be really good.
Yeah, bloody doors off. Paul Roughton. BBC can't afford it after paying out for all their naughty presenters. Topical. Always topical there. What else? And Enspiel is saying, I wish Fruity Gatwa's season had a limited time on iPlayer. It just surprises me, doesn't it? How all the modern stuff seems to, I don't know, seems to not be affected by any of this nonsense. I don't know. It's very, very strange. Domgo is saying the pinnacle of Doctor Who, those two stories. They are definitely up there, aren't they? They are absolutely up there. And Nibbles is saying to us here, I loved going to HMV and going to the Classic Who section when I was little. Yes. Yeah. Didn't we all? But it's all there. Thank you so much for everybody for your comments on that one. But that... Mark. Hello, Mark. The Lost Continent you're thinking of. A weird Hammer film, wasn't it? You're right. That's it. Thank you so much, Mark. And it was. It really was. But he's in that, isn't he? And there he is again. I know him. That's Camp Freddy.
He went to America and did some horror film as well. I can't remember what that was called. It's not long after Seeds of Doom, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's a great actor, though. Superb actor. Yeah.
In Classic Who, we had so many amazing character actors, says Enspiel. Not going to argue with that one, are we, guys? Not good. No. Thank you for everybody that was telling me it was the Lost Continent. We've got Black Modo, Stephen Braddock there telling me all that. Thank you for everybody. Now, this is interesting. Hang on a minute. I've got to get the Paulometer here. I am now up to 4 Pauls and our Paul on screen. So that's 5 Pauls on the Paulometer this evening, everybody. And Paul Seeley's with us saying, I heard the Robert Banks Stewart situation is something to do with shoestring and Bergerac repeat fees. Now, that wouldn't surprise me. At all. It would not surprise me if alleged, everything's alleged, But if they hadn't been paid, now I haven't seen Shoestring or Bergerac being repeated at all on the channels I have access to. That doesn't mean to say they're not out there. But of course, Bergerac is going to get big again next year because the remake's about to hit on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which means that the family would feel slightly more, oh, hang on a minute, up the price a little bit here for little old Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, Doctor Who owes them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Shoestring on DVD. It's a great watch. Recommend that.
Have
Lovely.
you?
Yeah, really good.
Well, I heard that they were going to try and remake that if Bergerac was up there. Have you seen the stills from the new Bergerac? We talked about this at the beginning of the year when Tennant was up there in the rumor, wasn't he, to be playing Bergerac? God, he didn't get it. But have you seen it? You know, it looks interesting.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try it. I will try it because it might turn out to be quite good. It might be.
Oh,
good.
you never know. You never know.
Yeah. Cute Pyro has given us a lovely super sticker here. Thank you very much for that, Cute Pyro. If you can't see that on the chat, tough. No, but it looks quite funny. So thank you very much. And also add in, that's the BBC right now.
He's not wrong. Absolutely not wrong.
Not wrong at all. It's lovely to see you. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining us on that one. But there we go. Wow. It's all there, isn't it, for you? That was the latest news that has hit Doctor Who. And it was received, I think the news was received quite, there wasn't the outrage I expected there to be. And I'm just beginning to think even the fans like us and all of us in the chat who love and adore the original series were not bothered about things like the iPlayer. It didn't, what I'm trying to suggest here is it didn't necessarily bring in the audience, I think, again, they were expecting. Do you know what I'm saying?
If they put it all in there for the 20th anniversary back in '83, it would be superb, wouldn't it? But they didn't.
No. And of course, by the time that we got there, we'd all got this.
Yeah.
VHS, DVD, and now the Blu-rays again. They see us coming. Really, they see us coming. Well, anyway, yeah. But as we always say, and I'm going to say it again on the show, pass the word around. Get the physical media. It's worth it. Get the shelf space. Love it to bits because it's just brilliant. And this season is not yet out on Blu-ray. We don't know when it's going to be, of course. None of us know when it's going to be. So why not invest your $4.99, your $5.99, whatever it's going to be, and treat yourself to the DVDs of these wonderful blooming stories because they're just superb. They're there. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They are classics.
Yeah, they are superb. Yeah.
From an absolute golden age.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Proper Doctor Who from a proper golden age. Wonderful stuff. Talking of proper Doctor Who, as I mentioned earlier, November. We're in November, guys. Woo! November 2024 as we're broadcasting live to you here today on Headlines for Who's Use. Later on this month on the channel, we are going to be celebrating Season 2. I'm talking Hartnell First here, not that nonsense that's coming in 2025, 26. Where am I next year? 25, isn't it?
Whenever it's coming, yeah.
Whenever this next version of Woke to Who's coming, we're not really interested. We're talking about
the third version of Season 2.
Yeah, we're heading back to 1964 and 1965 for our Season 2 overview. Looking forward to that as the guys all have Season 2 on their Blu-ray limited editions. And of course, some of us are getting it very soon after our show on standard edition. So we're going to be looking at those fabulous stories, doing a quick chat about talking about Hartnell and all the changes that go on in that season, everything you want to talk about in our season overview. And as part of that, we're also going to be reviewing a Season 2 story. And if you don't know it yet, this is where you come in, because right now on the community tab here on the channel, ignore this one at the moment. Right now on the community tab here on the channel, you can vote for our Viewer's Choice Who's Views Reviews episode. You can choose from Planet of Giants, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, the Rescue, the Romans, the Web Planet, the Crusade, the Space Museum, or the Chase. The Time Meddler we have already done, so it's not part of this, of course. That's already up on the playlist. So Planet of Giants, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, the Rescue, the Romans, the Web Planet, the Crusade, the Space Museum, and the Chase. There are 2 tabs. There are 2 posts on the community tab there, because I couldn't get them all in on one. It wouldn't let me. See, there's two posts there. Go and choose for the story you want us to review. We will watch that. We will all watch that. Come back and watch it. That's the viewer's choice. At the moment, I can confirm that in the lead, drum roll, please. Yes, it is still Dalek Invasion of Earth. There you go.
What a surprise.
You can change all that by putting in your vote. The closing date for votes for this is November the 5th. So it's this week, November the 5th, Guy Fawkes Night here in the UK. Oh God, bangs and whistles. Oh, my head's already going. Started already, hasn't it? With somebody. Who was it that went out already? Anyway, started already. And then next weekend, more of it. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Gives me an headache. But yes, Whose Views Reviews, the viewer's choice is back this month for our season 2 episode. You choose the story you want us to review, and they can all jolly well watch it, and then we'll all talk about it. How's that for you?
Sounds pretty damn fine to me.
It certainly does. Yeah.
JT, I think we missed a super chat from Hugh Janus earlier.
Oh, have we now? Right. Let me see. It's not coming up.
Scrolling through chat and
the chats have actually stopped on my
9 p.m. 9 p.m. I think. It's time.
I've not got anything yet.
It's very on my feed.
I'm going to have to explain to everybody. We're using 2 different platforms. We're broadcasting on YouTube, but we're using StreamYard as our platform here to broadcast to you. And I have to say my chats are frozen. So I don't know if that's because there's so many chats coming through. They're starting to come through, but I'm really behind. Right. So where's that one? I have had no notification, Hugh. I am very sorry. Where's it? What time was it?
It says 9 o'clock.
Oh,
although mine stopped for a while and then shot forward and then stopped and shot forward. It's been weird tonight, to be fair.
It is being very strange tonight because was it before the Cute Pyro one?
Yes.
Right, let's see what I can do. Hugh, I am so sorry about that. I'll see if I can find you. Guys, talk amongst yourselves and to the Who viewers while I try and find this.
So, Ian, what do you think about the web planet as a possible
You know, the web planet, to be quite honest,
good,
I do have a very big soft spot for the web planet. I mean, it's the only time you see the central console of the TARDIS spinning round.
Yeah.
Weird. I mean, it's the only time that it's an actual time rotor in that it rotates.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, there's quite a few. Dalek Invasion of Earth always, obviously, but I do like the Romans. It's funny. The Crusade, though, is high drama. It is superbly acted. It is superbly acted, and it's an absolute crime that it's not there in its entirety. It really is criminal. But you know what? I would have no problem at all if it was Web Planet. It's again, I think it's
this is called subliminal advertising, just for the audience, just to make sure that look into my eyes.
Because I cannot find this chat from Hugh at all, and there is definitely something wrong with the platform this evening. I'm very sorry about this. I think it might be because we've got a hell of a lot of chats coming through, and my chats have frozen. They have now frozen. Hugh, I'm going to acknowledge your super chat there. Thank you so much. Do you want to put it back in? Don't give us another super chat. What did you say? Because I cannot see anything now. I got this one from the Who Den. You've got a new viewer in the Who Den. Thank you so much, the Who Den. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. But my chats have frozen. I don't know what's happening with the platform tonight. I really don't. But something definitely is going on with the chat platform. I don't know. I can't see anything at all. It's going very, very. It could be because we're very busy in there. And Hugh's saying, "Don't bother, it's irrelevant now." Well, I'm really sorry about that, but thank you. And Legion was saying, "Oh, here it is, £5." Oh, thank you, Hugh, for that from the ITV and BritBox just before Pyro's poo sticker. I never got it. It didn't come through. I'm going to have to send a report to them to say what's going on. But yes, John's also saying there's nothing worse than having frozen chats. Absolutely. Absolutely ridiculous.
You put your heating on though, I think it's about time. Yeah.
But Hugh, thank you for that. Really, really appreciate it. The BBC's trying to silence JT, says Legion of James. It wouldn't be the first time, I can assure you. But yeah, I'm going to report that back because I didn't get notification of that at all, which is ridiculous because they're supposed to. They are supposed to do that. Anyway, we will sort that out. Anyway, so thank you for that, everybody. And thank you for Hugh for that one again. Okay, so we'll move on now. That's all the season 2 stuff that's coming up this month here on Who's Views. Hopefully you can join us all for that. Really, really, really would like to see you. And don't forget to vote after the show. In the meantime, how many of you out there have been to Gala Fray 1? None of us have. Have you in the chat? And when the chat works, let me know. Well, if you have been to Gala Fray 1, do you know what, guys? I've often said, I might pop over and have a look at this.
Yeah.
But it's become increasingly more alien to me. And I get the impression I wouldn't be welcome. This year, what I was seeing on X, Twitter, was lots of photographs of all these bloody wrist things you get in. And it was all TQ and TQ that and TQ this and TQ that and all these, and I thought, I'm not wearing any of that nonsense. And I just thought, what is this about? Again, going into all this woke nightmare. And I just thought, if I go into somewhere like that, I wouldn't keep my big gob shut and tell everybody they were us Muppets.
I would pay money to see that. I really would, honestly.
Me too. Yeah.
I'd probably get thrown out though after spending all that way. After going all that way. So I just think, oh gosh,
we'd open the door at the back and let you back in.
Yeah. I mean, it's one place I've always thought about thinking, I might go and have a look at it. I might go to that. But it's coming across as very unwelcoming for people that don't buy into the American ideology. And I am British and I will not buy into the American ideology. And I'm glad to say that more and more Americans seem to be now waking up and also going against the American ideology. Fingers crossed. Garbage is saying Gala Fray 1, no, not for 5 years. Talons is saying, not me. And Mark, it's messing up in America also. Legion of James wants to know what is Gala Fray 1. Well, it's the big convention that's done around about February, isn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Every year. It's a big convention, big American convention. It's got bigger every year. It's based in a hotel, so you basically get off the plane, go over to the hotel, and stay there. But because it's in the States as well, and because they pay for the big money for their guests, it gets a lot of the guests going in. A lot of you are saying, like Noel is saying here, nope, I've not been as well. Right, so a lot of you haven't. Okay.
Is it organised by the people who run Gala Fray base, or do I imagine that?
Sean Lyon used to be an organizer, didn't he? I don't know whether he still is.
Yeah.
Cheeky Bedouin, I'll go to Gala Fray 1 if they book me. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, they should book us here at Who's Views.
They couldn't afford us.
Can you imagine as well? And
Bedouin would need 3 tickets, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yes, but we'd have to interview people saying, "And what nonsense have you come as today?"
I'm 20 quid a selfie now, me. So that's how that works.
Yeah. Gala Fray 1 is utter nonsense, says Marjorie, and this is for an American like myself. Marjorie, really is. Have you been? Anyway, it's all that. But I wanted you to know that if you are thinking of going, in the last few days, it's been announced that these 3 will be there next year. Yes, making their first appearances at Gala Fray 1 is Julie Gardner, Phil Collinson, and Joel Collins, alleged producers of the new Disney Who.
That's 3 good reasons not to go, GT, I have to say.
I can understand Julie being there because she's now based in the States, isn't she?
Yeah.
So she runs the Brad Wolf operation over in America. So I can understand that. But it's a surprise that Phil Collinson and Joel Collins are going over there as well. But there you go. If you're going over next February, the 14th to the 16th, you will get the chance to, I was going to say to chat to Julie, Phil and Joel, but I guess you won't. And something tells me it's also going to be a sort of correct audience.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't like the likes of us in, for example, because we'll turn around and say, why did you make it a shit show? Why are you rewriting everything? Why did you put a drag queen in it? What nonsense about?
Would be as popular as MAGA hats at a Kamala event.
Don't, Sylvester might be watching. There are some great comments coming through on this. Sounds dismal. Is there a bar? Probably not, to be honest. It's not Britain. And 3 reasons not to go then, says Stephen. Paul Richards, you might say this, but I couldn't possibly comment.
He's a contortionist, obviously.
Paul Rose is saying, I wouldn't go to any Who convention during this period. Oh, well, there you go. You say there's a couple, possibly, but as Paul Richards is saying to us, these elitist fans dominate the fandom these days. And by God, they let you know it when you're there. And this is why Gala Fray 1, over the last few years for me, who have absolutely swallowed all this agenda, comes across as very exclusive.
Yeah.
And just something that, you know, people like us who are British and have the British point of view and who can understand reality from fantasy, we just wouldn't be welcome there. Much like prides these days, actually. Not welcome there if you know the truth, I'll tell you. Stephen's also saying to us, I'll pass and touch grass.
It's a fine pastime.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a long way to go to be disappointed, isn't it? To be honest, you know.
Yeah. Bearing in mind it's also in February. No actors.
Yeah.
Not saying anything more. But there you go. That's been announced over the last few days. If you're going to Gala Fray 1, if you're thinking of buying tickets for Gala Fray 1 right now, they are on sale apparently. February to the 14th and 16th of 2025 at the Marriott Los Angeles Airport. Okay. And you can go amongst the guests that are going to be announced. Julie Gardner, Phil Collinson, and Joel Collins will be there. Yippee-doo! Right. Right. So anyway, moving on from that one as well now. So Dr. How Much is where we're going to now, everybody. Oh, yes, indeed. Now, this story, I'm going to just say right now, this story that we're looking into now, I mentioned this last week because we started this last headlines last week. But this has been because of you guys getting in touch. So thank you so much again for getting in touch with us. If you do want to get in touch with me, don't forget you can by email. And the email address is that one there. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. whosviews1@gmail.com. And the brilliant thing about this one is, guys, you'll know as well, I've been saying for a wee while now that I believed that the BBC Studios and the Bad Wolf companies didn't necessarily need Disney to produce Doctor Who. You know, I've been saying that a few times, haven't I, really? That was my belief. And some of our Hugh viewers were getting in touch saying, you think so? And that made me start thinking. And so you start looking at things and you start doing research. And then a particular email came in with lots of information in. Hello to you. You will remain anonymous, but thank you very much to our source. Going, have you seen this? Have you seen this? So that makes you think about what's going on. And it's very possible that I'm wrong in my belief and assumption that BBC Studios and Bad Wolf could possibly produce Doctor Who on their own. Who'd have thought it, eh? I would have thought they could have, put together a load of money to even, equalize what they were doing back in 2008, 2007, 2006. So this is a big story, everybody, here that we can't possibly get through on one show because it's continual. So I started with this. Now, I'm very sorry if this is going to be boring for you, but it does affect the outcome of the show. Here we go. BBC Media Centre. This is from the 23rd of July this year. A year of investment in growth for BBC Commercial. The 2023-24 summary of strategic and financial performance shows BBC's main commercial arm, BBC Studios, investing record levels in key strategic priorities and content. So this is where you can sort of start, when you're looking at the fact, I think BBC Studios could do Doctor Who without anybody else. Well, with Bad Wolf, right? So I sort of started looking at this, and then you get into this and look at this. It's very wordy, this document. Now, Tom Fussell is the CEO of BBC Studios. He was put in place, 2-3 years ago, something like that. The quote from him there was, the last financial year saw good progress against our strategic objectives through record investment in content, premium digital services, and select international production companies. Okay. Interesting, that, isn't it? All right. So that's basically also suggesting here that they've looked for beneficial partnerships. Yeah. That's business. I suppose that's fine. And the TV industry has changed. So there you go. Also, just to remind everybody outside the UK, BBC Studios is the independent financial arm of the BBC. It's not provided. It's the commercial arm, sorry. It's a business. It is set up independently to the BBC, and it doesn't have or isn't supported by the BBC license fee like BBC One, BBC Two is. I can understand why it gets confusing for people outside the UK, don't you two?
Yeah.
Very easy.
BBC Studios.
I'm confused and I live here.
Yeah. But from our point of view, BBC Studios
Yeah.
has always been important because BBC Studios was created because of the Daleks.
Yeah.
You know, BBC Enterprises became BBC Worldwide. BBC Worldwide became BBC Studios. That's their journey. That's their history. And they came about because of the merchandise for Doctor Who and the Daleks. And nobody was there in the BBC to do it because they'd never had a hit like that before. So suddenly they had to do this and this and this and this. They had to get licensee people in and experts and that became BBC Studios. Isn't that amazing?
It is.
I think it's amazing. They forget that though, I'm sure. You know, okay. Anyway, let's get back to this report, guys. As you can see here, the bullet points say BBC Commercial delivers sales of 1.9 billion, 22 into 23, 2.1 billion, and EBITDA of 199 million, despite challenging market conditions. That EBITDA, by the way, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's the usual. I mean, you'll hear it on breakfast TV stations about EBITDA and stuff like this, and see it in the
I think
papers.
TARDIS is more catchy, if you ask me. You know?
I know. All these buzzwords that all the financial stuff have. Go and Google it. It's really boring. Anyway, BBC Studios, the BBC's main commercial arm, invests record levels in content and strategic priorities, including the acquisition of BritBox International. Who mentioned BritBox before? BBC Studios sees good underlying growth underpinning the ambition to double the 2022 business by 2028. And content highlights included Planet Earth 3, The Famous Five, The 1% Club, Einstein and the Bomb, Eurovision, a second series of Time, and the coronation of Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla. Can you see anything just, not being mentioned there, anybody?
Yeah.
Dr.
Weir. Yeah.
Like a star on my dressing room door, it becomes conspicuous by its absence.
Very good.
Thank you. 2023-24 was a year of investment in sustainable future growth and business transformation for BBC Commercial. This is another arm of the business, everybody. The business which supports the BBC by generating income for the BBC Group delivered sales of 1.9 billion and the EBITDA of 199 million against very challenging market conditions. Then it gave you this thing where you could read the full results. Now, this is about the extent of my understanding, right, of this. So I look at this and go, what? BBC Group, BBC Commercial, BBC Studios. Wow. We learn a lot as Doctor Who fans, don't we? We really, really do. It just... This is all the question. Remind yourself who the big question here is, could I possibly be wrong? I am, actually. Can BBC Studios and Bad Wolf do Doctor Who without any investment from another partner? This is really interesting here. The BBC Studios, the BBC's main commercial arm, made a series of strategic investments in year, most notably taking full ownership and profitability and fast-growing BritBox International, expanding its international production footprint with new acquisitions in Scandinavia, Spain, and Australia. Both completed and announced in year, as signalled in last year's annual report, enhancement to digital services, BBC.com, and UK TV Play. The year also saw BBC Studios make record levels of investment in content. These investments, together with difficult operating conditions, including softness in the commissioning and advertising sales markets and higher revenues from multi-year deals in 22 and 23 due to phasing, resulted in BBC Studios achieving sales of 1.8 billion in 2023, 2.1 billion, and EBITDA of 202 million in 2023, 252 million. The third consecutive year, the business has posted EBITDA over 200 million. Tom Fussell, CEO, BBC Commercial, said the last financial year saw good progress against our strategic objectives through record investment in content, premium digital services, and select international production companies. Despite the challenging external environment, we saw good underlying growth, and our long-term ambition to double the 2022 business remains. We will continue to take advantage of new opportunities as they arise. BBC Commercial is on track to meet its 5-year returns commitment to 1.5 billion by 26 to 27, a 30% increase on the previous 5-year period, with cumulative returns in year 2 of 693 million. Now, you can see why, I think at this point, I thought BBC Studios is in a position to be able to do Doctor Who without anybody else.
Can I ask, is Tom Fussell a politician? That's what it sounds like.
He is coming across like that, isn't he?
Yeah,
Really, really is. He's basically, I don't know, what is it? It's not to the point exactly, is it? It's
it's
just
waffle, a lot of it, to be honest.
That's true. BBC Studios, now don't laugh everybody, delivered standout programming showcasing world-class creativity and with 123 award wins from 401 nominations. Now, do you see how that becomes important in the industry? An award. Awards.
Yeah.
It's a bad sell in my eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where was I? Oh, yes. The Content Studio was once again the UK's most awarded production company. Output included Series 2 of Time, Planet Earth 3, The Famous Five, and Einstein and the Bomb. BBC Studios produced 7 of the top 10 performing shows in the UK across 2023, including events such as the Eurovision and the coronation of Their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla that brought the nation together. Again, what's missing there, everybody? Let's continue. And here we get our first mention. Across BBC Studios franchises, Bluey's popularity soared globally as it became the second most streamed show in the US, with the award-winning children's brand reaching audiences in 140 territories amid the launch of a series of sought-after consumer products. The world's longest-running science fiction show, Doctor Who, celebrated its 60th anniversary with 3 one-off Christmas specials and the introduction of a new Doctor in Ncuti Gatwa as the series debuted on Disney+. Dancing with the Stars is in more than 60 countries worldwide as the franchise celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. Now that gets to me because, of course, here in the UK, it's called Strictly Come Dancing, not Dancing with the Stars. So why have they done that? Why have they put it in as the foreign title rather than the British title? Who's this aimed at? Who's reading this?
This is aimed at the possible new investors, isn't it?
Yeah. All from abroad.
Yeah.
All from abroad. So from this, I'm gathering that because BBC Studios does do output now, as we know, and the BBC doesn't, that from now on, the majority of BBC output is going to have foreign investment and partnerships in it now.
Yeah.
So why is it now called the British Broadcasting Corporation?
Makes you wonder, because anybody that's investing in it is going to have some say in how it turns out.
Like they have done with Who.
Yeah. Regardless what the BBC say.
And that's right. So in the case of Disney, they are obviously the big hitter when it comes to the finance. They've put more in than the other two. So they have more of a say, surely. All alleged, by the way, all alleged. That's what we believe. So they would have more of a say in how the show's run, which we've sort of heard about over the last year, haven't we? It goes here to say BBC Studios' global media and streaming operation is the new home for BritBox International, with 3.8 million subscribers and growing at a rate of 25% year. UK TV gave a strong performance, increasing its share of the commercial audience in a soft advertising market and building its free streaming service, the UK TV Play. The number of international ad-funded FAST channels reached 36, including the BBC News channel for the first time. I don't know why. BBC Studios was ranked in the UK top 50 in Glassdoor's prestigious Best Places to Work as the highest-ranking TV company in the list. The accolade demonstrates the business focus on developing a strong, innovative culture which prioritizes creativity as a key part of its strategy. BBC Studios today also published its annual pay gap report, which this year indicates data on socio-economic background for the first time. In addition to its regular reporting on gender, ethnicity, disability, and LGBTQ+ employees, broken down by career level band. As well as increased depth in reporting, this year's pay gap report is also the broadest analysis undertaking, reflecting recent workforce changes to the business.
Innovative culture is an interesting euphemism, isn't it?
See, more culture in a yogurt.
Yeah.
It carries on. The year's report shows that median pay gaps by career band below the senior leader level remain low across all characteristics, with over 90% of its workforce in a career band with a pay gap of under 5%. So that's all the usual stuff there. Tom Fussell added, we recognise that while we are making progress, there is still more work to do, including how we recruit and how we educate recruiting managers across the business. As BBC Studios embarks on its transformational growth journey, Part of our success will be measured on our ability to grow and empower our teams to deliver results as we develop a more representative workforce. These are the people that have their grubby little performances on Doctor Who.
Just make proper television, for God's sake.
I mean,
whoa, slow down.
Sorry, so I'm jumping the gun there.
You're just getting a little bit beyond yourself there,
Sorry,
sir.
yeah. I believe in miracles, obviously. That's the thing.
It's not what they're there for.
Yeah.
Believe you me, everybody, this is the tip of the iceberg, because this was me thinking along the lines of, surely, as we'd said on the show, the BBC Studios and Bad Wolf can afford to do this. So this is part of a huge can of worms that we're opening here on the show to discuss. It's all out there as well, by the way. It's all out there for you to go and look at. You know, it just takes some lovely people helping push you in the right direction and finding this out and doing the research. And I have to say, with the moment reading everything, I'm totally confused by this, because it's all like, oh my God, what sort of business is this going on? Anyway, they also give this lovely summary, guys, as well. Now, this is the notes to editors. If you're not aware about this, this is what happens with some reports or even press releases. There's going to be a notes to editor, which basically says everything there in shorthand, because a lot of people don't want to read the report. They'll say they don't have time. It's probably nothing to do with that. It's just a case of, this is a big document that can't be asked. They go straight to the editor's comments and they can copy and paste it and put it in their nonsense. But look at this. The main commercial arm of BBC Commercial Limited, BBC Studios, generated revenues in the last year of 1.8 billion and a third consecutive year of profits over 200 million. Able to take an idea seamlessly from thought to screen and beyond. Excuse me. The business is built on two operating areas: the content studio, which produces, invests and distributes content globally, and media and streaming, with BBC branded channels, services including bbc.com and BritBox International, and joint ventures in the UK and internationally. The business made more than 2,800 hours of award-winning British programmes last year for a wide selection of public service and commercial broadcasters and platforms, both in the UK and across the globe. Its content is internationally recognised across a broad range of genres and specialisms, and includes world-famous brands like Strictly Come Dancing or Dancing with the Stars, The Planet series, Bluey, and Doctor Who. Doctor Who getting a little look in there. Not as proud of it as they used to be, are they?
It normally first, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it'll fade out even more, especially after the Series 2 airs and probably carries on that ratings slump. Yeah.
There are some comments. I'm going to try and look at the comments now. We've got here Rick Storm saying, I prefer Bluey.
I'm a Rick on that one. Yeah.
Leo James Ward, it's nice to see you. What do they mean representative workshop? If anything like its output, it doesn't reflect the demographics. How many Eastern Asian actors, presenters? It's a complete joke. What else we got? Do we know when season 2 is out next year, says George. George, we don't. We know, of course, the Christmas Day. It has been confirmed, by the way, that Joy to the World is going to be screened on Christmas Day on BBC One. The time is not being confirmed yet. However, it will be available on the iPlayer at midnight and at a sensible time in the rest of the world as normal.
Like I've said before, you can't watch it, Minnie. You have to be in bed before Santa arrives. Okay, that's how it works, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Santa certainly won't be watching it, will he?
He won't watch. He'll be far too busy for a start, you know. But
I don't think Father Christmas is watching it anyway.
He's not a fan, I've heard, anyway. But,
yeah.
He prefers Blake 7, I think. Yeah, but
the time of the license fee is over. It needs to be ended. I think I'm reading between the lines. I'm no expert. I'm reading between the lines of all this stuff I'm looking at. I genuinely believe they're trying to align themselves for that happening through BBC Studios.
Yeah.
Because if you look at all that streaming, international partnerships, money. Maybe I'm being
the BBC alive. That's the thing, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Doesn't it come across like that? You know, maybe.
Well, I think it does, because I mean, if they have to get rid of the license fee, they have to find another way of producing it. If the license fee gets taken away, and they have to evolve as a TV company, that's the only way of doing it. If they can't take advertising, or won't take advertising, so
true, absolutely true. What have we got here? Oh, it's so sad seeing the death of the once great BBC, isn't it just, Stephen? They used to make such a wonderful wide range of drama, comedy, entertainment, and children's television, as well as their radio. the quiz shows, the sporting, you know, I mean, when the sports started getting taken away from the BBC in the bidding wars because the independents had more money and the sponsorships, and the Sky came along with much more money. I mean, that was the start of it all, wasn't it? But they didn't invest in more programming. They sort of panicked. You know, I don't know, but it's really sad. TARDIS Travel's also saying to us the BBC is not exclusive, just making British shows, I guess, and yet it was once upon a time. It really was, and it's from my point of view. I think from a generational point of view, it is sad to see this. This is not the BBC I recognise, and it's certainly not the BBC I actually want. I must admit. Marjorie is saying, my sincere apology on behalf of America. Doctor Who is a British show and should stay that way. Marjorie, thanks for that. Totally agree with you. But you know what? I don't think it ever is going to be again.
No.
I really don't. Julianne is saying this is canvassing for investors, as you said, Paul. It really is, isn't it? I mean, this is basically a report which shows it's a sell, isn't it? So that any possible investor out with the UK or possibly in the UK can go.
It's called Talking a Good Show, I think it's called. You know, it's trying to create a sleight of hand to make it look like it's better than it is, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it could be that, couldn't it? What we got here, well said, JT. Why is it called the BBC when all these other companies are involved? Well, they would turn around now and say that the British Broadcasting Corporation is still basically BBC One, BBC Two, and the radio, isn't it? And the radio, it is British, isn't it? And because it's all based around the UK, you know, it's BBC Radio One, BBC Radio Two, etc., etc. But the television output isn't. And the BBC are not doing what it used to do, which by keeping everybody in the donut and basically putting the shows together themselves, is it? I mean, those days are gone. I mean, even Doctor Who is no longer BBC. It's BBC Studios, Bad Wolf, and Disney.
Yeah.
Blue Peter's gone the same way. It's going to be independent. Thatcher has
I wonder
lot.
if Disney will take Blue Peter. That'd be interesting.
Oh, shocking. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us on here. There's a lot of comments coming through from this. The Who Den is saying to us, guys, I so much miss coming home and watching Doctor Who on a Sunday night on BBC America. The working man is losing out on something that has meant so much to me for a good part of my life.
That's a shame.
Imagine how we feel.
Yeah.
Imagine how we feel, mate, because we were there as kids with Doctor Who in the 60s and 70s and the 80s. So we know what you're saying. We really do, because it's just not the same anymore, is it? So what else? Now you're right, Garbage. This is Spale Spiel. And Simon Anthony is joining us saying it's not the BBC I or my father worked in. Simon, it's unrecognizable, isn't it? And, you know, because they've gone really more about the commercial now and making the money, which makes me wonder, are they making money? Now, so there's me finding that bit out. And again, thank you to our source for sending that bit of information to us as well. But I'm thinking, right, so actually, that's the BBC Studios side of it coming from. Oh, hang on a minute. There's money there from BBC Studios. Possibly they could have a British partner like Bad Wolf or whoever, and possibly just do it together. But then, as you lot reminded me in the chat last week here on Who's Views, there was another element of money that came in from this, isn't there? Let's go back to this article here. This is from Insider Media on the 29th of February 2024. Bad Wolf strikes a new £4 million deal. Do you remember this? Yes, you do, because you all reminded me of it last week. Cardiff-based production company Bad Wolf has struck a new £4 million deal with Welsh Government, ensuring a raft of high-end TV dramas will be made in Wales. The deal will see Bad Wolf maintain its principal base at Wolf Studios Wales in Cardiff and build on the global success it has achieved. Hit shows include Doctor Who, Industry, I Hate Susie, The Winter King, His Dark Materials, and A Discovery of Witches. The deal will ensure that at least 4 Bad Wolf productions are shot and produced in Wales in the period up to March 2027. Now, before I go on to this, I just want to remind you that makes it look at this. Hit shows include Doctor Who. That makes it look like Bad Wolf have been behind all the series of Doctor Who to date. That's really naughty how it puts it that way. And since this article was written and published in February, The Winter King has apparently, so I'm being told, been axed.
Oh.
So that was a big, high, glossy fantasy sword sorcery type thing, I believe. I was going to start to watch it, never found it because I don't know what channel it was on, and never did, never got around to it. But I heard somebody tell me just this week, well, they're not doing more, and that was somebody that works in the industry. So there we go. That article from February continues with this Cardiff-based production company. Oh, sorry, where is it? Oh no, that was it. That was all I had for that one. That was it. So that was the whole thing that you reminded me of in the chat last week, everybody, about the Welsh government investment into this.
So is this just investment? So they're obviously the government in Wales are hoping to get a return from this, with giving people employment, etc., etc. So is this isn't a loan? This is like a arts funding type thing, is it?
That's a great question, because I looked into this, and it's the word they're using is investment. So it seems to be that rather than a loan. It doesn't seem to be, as long as they're doing stuff like, you know, it has to remain in Wales. They have to take Welsh people. They have to. I mean, that's but it's still public money.
Yeah,
it's public money going into Bad Wolf. So surely that makes them like the BBC.
I suppose it would make sense. Yeah.
I think, like you've said, the Welsh government will use the argument that if it is giving employment to people, then it's a justified expenditure, unlike say the license fee, which is just pay it or go to prison. But it I don't know. It doesn't just. I mean, I'm looking at one of the other emails here that you sent through, JT, and you know it's total investment to date from the Welsh government 20.447 million. It's like they're not a proper balanced company if they're constantly requiring money from the government. They're not, are they? I mean, at what point does investment become propping up? You have to ask the question. It's just odd, you know.
It is odd, but the more I read and the more you look into it, it is like, you know, you just can't stop it because you go from one to another and it's got really confusing. But where I'm at now is actually agreeing with some of the Who viewers that got in touch with us saying, really? Do you really think Bad Wolf and BBC Studios could do that? And I'm actually coming to the conclusion now that they couldn't. They do need that investment. And it's very clear the more we read it, and we're going to look at this every now and then as well, that Disney is the main finance partner. So if Disney pull out, Timkins, nice to see you. Blue Peter changing in any way is inconceivable since the Wood Lane address and BBC TV Centre let sadness be unbound. I totally agree with you. I also know of several past Blue Peter presenters that are livid right now. A couple of them have even tried to bid for the show themselves in an attempt to protect it and retain the quality of the Blue Peter they were in, which, of course, the legend that was Biddy Baxter put together. Yeah. But I hope that they're successful because they will look after it and treasure it. Whereas I mean, you could go down the Doctor Who route where it's given to people that just don't really care because it's all about the old dosh, innit?
Yeah.
You know?
Or not, as the case may be.
Or not. Here it is again from Timkins. The Winter King was not a hit show. It was a disastrous flop, and it was cancelled before it even appeared on ITV Player. Now, that's one of the reasons I couldn't find it then, because I did check it was ITV. And then a mate of mine said, oh, no, it was on one of the satellite players, or whatever we call them now. And I said, oh, I can't be arsed with that. And I never went to find it. But it hasn't been renewed, allegedly, for a season 2. So it's not a hit. You're absolutely right. And that had different investors in it as well, didn't it? Hello, Derek. Nice to see you. Derek's joining us, everyone. Thank you, flying the flag there. Nice to see you.
It's frustrating for the people that watch. Sorry, Paul, but it's frustrating for the people that watch these things, isn't it? Because they invest too. They invest their time to
a license fee.
Yeah, but to follow a series all the way through to the end of episode 1, and some of them might think, right, I look forward to the next one, and it's just canned. And there's no accountability or anything like that. And we've all seen programs like that, haven't we, that have just disappeared. And when we were younger, we wouldn't necessarily understand why it never came back. But
and you used to love it as well. That's what happened, didn't it? Yeah, you loved that show. Yeah. Pulled. Yeah.
But sorry, Paul, I cut into you there.
No, I was going to say about the funding thing. This is the thing that befuddles me a little bit. Is the story was originally? I mean, I'd imagine that Disney paid allegedly $100 million, wasn't it? Apparently for the series or the episode they got, including what the spin-off was, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Are they getting funding from other streaming services or any other companies for the other shows you mentioned, or is that just funding locally from Wales? Where does all these different pots come from? I know Sony's in there somewhere as well, but how much have they got from other people, and including the stuff they got from the Welsh government? I mean, where's all the money gone? That's the question.
Well, this is the question, and this is what we're looking at as well. So, as long as you guys in the chat are happy with this, we're going to continue looking at this every so often as well. Rob Alexander saying TV Centre wasn't closed down as such; it was redeveloped and sold. Yeah, because you can live there now, which I've always quite fancied. Actually, I've always quite fancied. I like the look of the flats as well, but then I looked at the price and thought, it's not that. That's not going to be, because they do certain ITV shows down there now, don't they? And they hire out TC1 and all this.
You'd have to feel about Alison Hammond being about all the time. That's part of the problem.
Oh yeah. Well, there we go. But yeah. But, Heretic OSJC as well. One show I've never got over and been cancelled was the Sarah Connor Chronicles. Okay, I've never heard that one, but thank you for that, mate. I don't know.
Terminator spin-off.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, right, okay. See, I'm slow in the uptake there. But
it wasn't bad, actually, to be fair. It wasn't bad.
Well, there's more to it here as well. I mean, honestly, we're only scratching the surface here, because you do fall into this trap of going from one story to another story because they're all linked. So let's look at this here as well, because what they were talking about there, there's so much to this. There's so much to this story when it all comes to this money. Is that BBC Studios can, being a business, they can borrow money, and they have sort of intimated that they were going to, in one of the stories I'm looking at here, all available online, it's all out there. They were going to do this. BBC Studios' borrowing limit was increased from £350 million pounds to £750 million pounds in 2021. The quote that I found from this was, "We haven't taken our debt over 350 million yet, but we have plans in due course to do so."
Will that be spread over like a long period of time, a bit like a mortgage in that respect, kind of a bit like that to pay it back?
It must be. It must be, but
seems very irresponsible, doesn't it? But borrowing that amount. Well, do you think they've got the approval because their license fees are coming down by such a catastrophic amount? They're having to borrow to make it up.
Well, just remember that BBC Studios doesn't get anything from the license fee because it's purely commercial.
So when we buy,
what happens, everybody, is when you buy an item of Doctor Who, licensed Doctor Who, like a book or whatever, one of the licensed things that the BBC approves of, right? That money, wherever you are in the world, the majority of it goes to BBC Studios. That's what they're there to do. They handle the Doctor Who merchandise. That's how they were created, and that's what they were meant to do. They also handle the sales of the show elsewhere. And of course, they've got these partnership divisions coming in now, as we're seeing here as well, where they have to get investment from what seems out to be foreign investments to make these big shows. Okay, so that's where we're up to. When it comes to Doctor Who, that's what will happen. So why they've dissed the fan base over the last goodness knows how many years and tried to get rid of many of us as possible. It's financial suicide, isn't it? It's production suicide. You're not going to get support. How many of us on this show, including everybody in the chat, because you're all part of the team, how many of us are buying the Shooty Gatwin nonsense?
Well, long gone are the days when a Doctor Who made more in merchandise than it cost to make as a TV show.
Yeah, long gone those days, aren't they?
Totally. Totally. But what would happen is that, no matter where in the world you are, when you buy the latest BBC approved licensed merchandise, a huge share of that goes to BBC Studios. Now, they used to make quite a lot of money from Doctor Who.
Yeah.
You know, we all knew that as Doctor Who fans. So why are they? I just don't understand why they are taking a debt to over 350 million.
Nobody's buying their stuff.
Because the TV license does not go towards them.
Yeah.
We also know that the TV license isn't supported much by the general public anyway. I see why I find this confusing, because to the layman like me, it doesn't make sense.
If they've done their cost estimates, you know, when you have to sort of like do a business plan, and you have to produce your spending and what you think your income's going to be over 1, 3, or 5 years or something like that, to show progression. You see it on The Apprentice, don't you? Right at the end, where they have to produce their business plans and they get grilled on them, and they, you know, you say you're going to make this in this year. I think, could it be that they've estimated that they're going to make an absolute ton of money on merchandise because a few years ago they made a ton of money on merchandise, but they haven't factored into the fact that what they're actually producing now is utter crap, so nobody's going to buy it, and they've therefore really overestimated what their income's going to be, so they need to increase their borrowing. I mean, that's the only reason I could think that you would need to increase your borrowing, is to stop yourself going under.
Clearly, allegedly, Bad Wolf has a gambling problem.
It just seems like very odd business to me. You know, and this is why I think, you know, call me old fashioned, but at least back in the day, you had creatives at the BBC doing entertainment, producing entertainment with a budget, and God help them if they went over it, as JNT found out on a couple of occasions, you know, as everybody found out in the BBC. You just did not go over it. If it meant you cut something, you cut it. If it meant you couldn't spend a special effect, you cut it. Now it just seems to be the other way. One of the questions I'm asking is, does Dr. Disney Who, is it relying on the merchandise to guarantee a profit? This is what was starting to come to myself here, and why I'm thinking to myself, hang on a minute.
If it is, it's completely screwed, isn't it? I mean, really, let's be honest.
Why would you continue to invest in it, i.e. Disney, the House of Mouse? Why would they continue to invest a lot of money?
I have to say, the mice at Disney are throwing themselves on the traps now, aren't they? That's what they're doing. You know?
Do you know what I'm saying, Who viewers? None of this is making any sense. Derek is saying to us, Disney paid 110 million allegedly for 2 seasons and a new spin-off, or that just 1 season plus 1 Christmas. Well, let's look at that. Actually, because I've got some material here. So going back to that thing about the Welsh government, as we know, you're asking the question there. The Welsh government has invested in it. It's been supportive of Bad Wolf Studios. It's recognised its contribution to the local economy and the creative industry in Wales. It does say, while specific details about financial interventions are not publicly disclosed, fair enough, the government support is aimed at fostering growth and ensuring sustainability of such key enterprises. So obviously they've looked, and this is down to Doctor Who again, don't forget. Doctor Who moved to Cardiff in 2004 and started production. It could have easily have been London, where it was born, and where in my eyes it should have been, but never mind. Sorry, people in Wales, but I don't understand that. It was all down to Julian Russell, wasn't it? Oh, we love this. This is where we come from. We're going to go here. So they had this sense as well of, oh, we'll support Wales. Okay. God, I mean, what if it had been Stephen Moffat in the first place? Would he moved it to Paisley? Do you know what I mean? Because of that, I don't know. Anyway, I understand all that. BBC Studios' partnership with Bad Wolf Studios and Disney Plus represents a strategic shift to enhance Doctor Who's production quality and global reach. We knew that was there. That's what they were after. They were trying to make Doctor Who more than what it was, wasn't it? It was supposed to be global. They kept going on about it, didn't they, last year? It's going to be huge. It's going to be global. More people can experience it. More people can interact with it. There seems to be an overall strategy to strengthen the franchise's position in the international market. Do we think that series just broadcast is going to do that? I don't think so.
Not a chance.
No.
I don't think so. This is all based around these rumors, of course, that Disney may not be investing in the next a third series. Russell T Davies has constantly said now in the last few months, it was always the plan to tell us, the layman's, whether they're going for a series 3 after series 2 is screened. don't forget, we've also got the fact that we've got this Sea Devil spin-off thing coming on, which they are insisting, Bad Wolf are insisting, is the first of several spin-offs. Really? Yeah. What happens if no one watches the bugger?
Try to think what their other ones would be.
Well, the thing about it is, I've said many times before, they need to get the actual centre show in good shape before they can get spin-offs, because people have to like the actual show itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because that's the core of the audience for their spin-off.
Yeah.
That's and they don't have that anymore. They've lost it. They told them to go away.
Yeah.
It would be very funny though if the spin-off got higher ratings than Shooty's first season Doctor Who, wouldn't it? Because he's not in it. That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I mean, it was never about the money, was it? All of us, in the old days, it was about entertainment. And eventually, money became more of it, but they never had it. So they got on with it for 26 years. They got on with it. It was never about the money. They would have all liked a bit more, each production team that took over the show. But they never got it. So they just dealt with it. And that was the way it was, wasn't it? That was the way the BBC ran.
Yeah.
There was a certain charm to it all. It's very interesting, but we've got here BBC strategic partnerships. So we're talking about all these partnerships. Co-production with Bad Wolf Studios 2021. The BBC entered into a co-production agreement with Bad Wolf Studios. That's BBC Studios, granting them substantial creative control over Doctor Who. We know that. And who got the biggest control? RTD. Yeah. They're all following his lead, aren't they? So we've got all that. The move was aimed at revitalizing the series with fresh perspectives and expertise. However, reports indicate that this arrangement could result in the BBC foregoing, all alleged, approximately £40 million in production fees per every 10 episodes produced. Now, could this possibly be the other reason you're only getting 9 episodes a year now?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh, it's intriguing, all this. And honestly, there's a lot to it. It gets so confusing.
I'm sure there's more to come. I know we're going to look at this more in detail as we move on through the rest of the year. But where does Sony come into this as well? That's something, it's like.
Oh, well, I had that, but I don't think I've got it with me.
You know what I mean? It's like what are they create? What are they giving them? What are they getting out of it? It's incredible.
Well, Sony invested in Bad Wolf, not Doctor Who.
So that's part of Bad Wolf. So they must be putting something like that.
Did they invest in, or did they buy a share of?
Right, I've got some information about Sony here. Sony owns, all alleged. Actually, I think it's out there, so it might not be. Sony owns more than 50% of Bad Wolf Studios, with controlling interests even over the board, allegedly. Right. Yes. So there's a hell of a lot of that.
Gardner and Tranter are minority shareholders then.
Yeah. Can I just say that was sourced from Variety.com from an article back in 2020. So that's where they are. We can look at a bit more about Sony if everybody wants to on another show.
Sorry to drop the floor there. I was just wondering in terms of all this pot of investors. It's incredible that a company as big as Sony, if they bought over 50%, that's if they've got more of a controlling share as well. If they've got 53% or whatever, they've got the controlling share of the company as well, haven't they?
Wow. Yeah. And they're just. And Sony doesn't get on with Disney, allegedly, don't they?
Yeah, there's a Spider-Man rights issue thing going on for a long time as well, and they've got the Marvel stuff, haven't they? And they've had to kind of negotiate to do the Spider-Man movies because of that as well. I think there's all that going on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all very intriguing, isn't it? Juliana saying to us here as well, the next spin-off is The Journey to the Job Centre.
Work.
Let me just reiterate again, guys. This is all because of our Who viewers, and the fact that some of you were just getting in touch nicely to say, do you really think that BBC Studios and Bad Wolf could produce a series? Because I genuinely did. But looking at all this, I'm now wondering, could they really? Because there's a hell of a lot of information, and there's more to come. About all this as well. It is all like the Variety, for example, as well. Disney leans into the UK licensing strategy, heading to BBC Studios owned. I mean, what's going on? What is there a future for Doctor Who in all this? Have they got their head in the sand? Have they really thought about this? This is a big thing. This is a major BBC Studios drive for external, i.e., foreign investment. And I just don't understand why. Possibly because I'm not in the industry anymore. But I just think, hang on a minute.
There was a story going along when Jodie was doing it that China had bought a share of Doctor Who and they had a 5-year plan involved with China or something. And that, I don't know what happened to that.
No, I remember that. That was not right. That was simply because the BBC Studios had got a deal to show Doctor Who Whittaker
just showing it
in China.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
That was it. They didn't invest in it, and for them it was a big thing. It was a big thing. Oh, Doctor Who's broke China. It's not there anymore. I believe.
Right.
I believe.
That doesn't surprise me.
No,
having seen them. Having seen them.
A cultural revolution, wouldn't it?
I have to say, Doctor Who, running for all that time, hadn't broke China ever, and yet the K9 company, the K9 show that was made in Australia with Bob and Paul did and was. So they broke over there.
Yeah.
Jason Parker, it's nice to see you. Welcome to Who's Views. The BBC seem to have forgotten how well Class was. Not. This was when Doctor Who was slightly more successful. This new spin-off, nobody asked for. What a strange decision. I have to say as well, nobody asked for Class, but they had to have something. I think somebody went to Stephen Moffat and said, "Oh, we need more than one show." Russell gave us 3 at a time. Where's your,
Yeah. If he wasn't doing Sherlock, he might have time to do something like that, but he didn't, did he?
Mm. Well, listen, this is all food for thought, Who viewers. This is, again, as I'll say it again, this is down to you guys. Get me intrigued enough to look at all this. And now that we've started, there's a hell of a lot to go through. But it's all that thing that a lot of fans are talking about at the moment. Some of us are talking about it and not really caring. Some of us do care. Nobody watching this show. Is it going to be renewed for a 3rd series?
I just have massive morbid curiosity. That's my take on it, But
I don't think they can. Well, it's not so much thinking. They can't put it off for that long, can they? Because we're very soon at Christmas. So that's the Christmas special out the way. And
why they're calling it special,
and whatever that gets. But then, RTD wants it to be as soon as possible afterwards. And we'll see how much sway he has, because if he does have that much sway, then it will be on quite soon afterwards. And if it isn't, then he doesn't. And then it's just a question of when it will be. And if he doesn't get it on that early, it's probably going to be an equivalent time to what it was last year.
May. It'll be May.
Yeah. And then we'll just
soon know.
It'll play out. And then straight after it, we'll know whether or not Disney are going to do a 3rd series, because the ratings will speak for themselves.
There'll be Doctor Who is on hiatus, will be the announcement at the end.
With all this stuff that we've got on here and all this, where they're looking at taking BBC Studios from now and into its future as well, I would just say, just let it go. I've said it before, because the quality of the scripts are just dire. And as Sheila B in the Devotions is saying here, the end is nigh for Doctor Who. I think the end is actually here, Sheila. I think we're looking at a very painful and slow death.
The end is now. Yeah.
And they're just desperate to keep it going, because again, they think they know they've got something there, but none of them know how to produce it properly. And to execute. And they thought RTD was the one to do that, but he's gone off on some sort of campaign and agenda and all this sort of crusade nonsense. Alienating not just Doctor Who fans, but the great British public. So who is their audience now? And they're investing a lot of money in this, as we can see, and as we're going to see in future shows. It's all very complicated, I think, and just a bit sort of, just produce a show. Just get it done. Oh, it's tiring. Paul Stensford is saying to us, Disney are done with Doctor Who. They're not going to continue to invest in the show, which didn't chart on the Nielsen ratings during the last series. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I can't see them doing it. And because there's allegedly a lot of changes going on in the Disney Corporation now, and somewhere, some Mickey Mouse accountancy person has to be saying to the nearest duck.
Has he got a new job now, has he?
Well, this is the thing. They must be saying to the nearest duck or dog.
Yeah.
What's going on? Why are we losing all this money? Surely somebody with common sense is in that organization.
Yeah.
I have to say with this one from Simon Anthony, it doesn't matter where or who makes Doctor Who as long as it's British. No adverts or product placement, well written and acted. The BBC as a corporation is not needed today.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You can't argue with that, really, can you? Because, you know,
No.
from people that we're seeing what's happening to it, you're right. It's a sad mess. It's such a shame. And at this time of year, when I was a kid back in the day, you would start to be looking forward to the BBC's output for Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, this, as I say, this is an interesting story. We are going to be coming back for this. We've got Mark actually saying here, BBC Studios earnings dropped from 2.1 billion to 1.8 billion, but the profit was 240 million. You used to get fired for losses like that.
Yeah.
See, this is where it's confusing because it doesn't make sense. And then I look at the world around me and think that doesn't make sense either. Yeah, who's running all this stuff? You know, why is nobody with common sense coming around saying, "Excuse me, run that past me again," and then saying,
"You're
okay,
fired.
you're in the wrong job." Yeah, you know, why are you doing it? Do you know what I'm saying? Doctor Who needs to be taken out of the BBC's hands right now. They can no longer be trusted with it. I'd hate to see it away from the BBC completely. But I just think it needs to be the right people with it. And I'm not sure whether this independent thing is right for the BBC shows. I'm dreading what they're going to do to Blue Peter. I've seen what they've done to Doctor Who. I've seen what they've done to some of the other stuff. If it's the wrong production company, they can mess up
with this one.
They can mess things up, can't they?
Yeah.
You know, and they do it in their image, not the BBC's image. And now because the BBC Studios, an independent company, has it, they're doing it in there for their... what we read at the very beginning, what they see, what they think they need to be. It's a bit sad. That's what I'm saying. And it's sad that Doctor Who's involved with this because it is dying in front of us.
Yeah.
And as I've said before, this time it will be good. For good. It's not coming back after this.
No.
I can't. Everybody's been saying, oh, when it comes off again, it'll come back after 15, 20 years. It's not going to. I can't see it happening. I can't see it happening. I think this is it. I think
it was good memories before that brought it back, whereas now it's just going to be toxic memories.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to bring something back where the memory of it is toxic.
And there's no fan goodwill at all. We said that many times as well.
No, they've well and truly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and because there's none of us left. So how many of us would cry when they announce the inevitable? It's coming off air. None of us. And we will do a show here where we go, well, we told you, you all knew. We are, get the balloons, have a piece of cake, you know, because it's painful to watch what they're doing to it, isn't it? We're not invested in it. They had the opportunity to bring us all back and they screwed it up and we're not there.
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
Danny Dyer wants to do Doctor Who, says Frank Spencer. Let his production company have a go, does he? Does he really? Does Dan want to do that? I've not heard of that. It would certainly be hard hitting in that sense. I mean, I'm not saying it would be all right, mate, you know, which Danny's known for, because he's not actually that sort of guy in real life. He's actually a very charming gentleman that you could chat to about anything. The fact that if that is true, Frank, it shows that he's respectful to Doctor Who. He understands the importance of it. But then again, I said the same thing about Bad Wolf when they did Discovery of Witches a few years ago, because I was such a fan of Discovery of Witches. I said, look at the production values here. Look at the care that's been taken of this. Look at how they're producing it. All that could be transferred to Doctor Who. How wrong was I?
Yeah.
How wrong and how let down do I feel by that? I mean, such a shame.
Well, we all kind of thought this is the last chance for it, and it now is, sadly, you know.
Yes, yeah, this is it. And also, of course, there are all the rumours about Gatwa and all this going on as well. All rumours. Disney has lost a fortune on most of its content for a long time, but they keep doing the same old things, says poor Rose. It's getting noticeable now as well, isn't it? And the big thing at Christmas will be Wallace and Gromit featuring a penguin we last saw 30 years ago, and it's going to be brilliant, says Stephen Braddock. I hope so. I'm really looking forward to that more than Doctor Who, with the return of Wallace and Gromit.
Who's doing the voices in it now then? Because obviously Peter Sallis is no longer with us. Who's taking his place?
We did talk about that. It's a sound alike, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, so I'm sorry about that.
Right.
A Heretic is saying to us, Danny Dyer has been very vocal about wanting to do Doctor Who. It's passed me by completely. I'm sorry. I haven't seen Mr. Dyer in years. Last time I saw Danny Dyer, I'll tell you a story, everybody, was at an audition in London. And I went to an audition for a particular role. Not EastEnders, it was a film. And I'm sitting in the corridor, as you do, with about 5 other fellas. So we were all, 20-something. And 5 other fellas. And about a few of us had still to go in. So the 5 was sitting there. And then the door opens to this room and Dyer walks out. And he says, all right, see you guys. And then he says to us, all right, lads. And he walks past. And I turn around to the others and said, we might as well just go home now. Because he was making waves.
Yeah.
And he got it. I don't know why the rest of us are bothered, because he was going to be the perfect fit for that particular character. The rest of us didn't look like him. I hate him. No, I don't. I love him. No, I don't. I hate him. Yeah, it could be something like this, Bill. You could be right. Absolutely. The Who tender, though, is saying to us, Doctor Who will be back at the right time with the right doctor and the right showrunner. Again, you see, from a British point of view, it shouldn't have a showrunner. It should just have, my firm belief, it should just follow its traditional home of British production. No showrunner, a producer, a script editor. Get it done. Never mind somebody who's in control of the whole thing. Doctor Who doesn't work that way. They've proved it several times, 3 times over, 4 times over. I just don't get it. So it shouldn't follow that American style. I'm sorry, Who Den, but I just genuinely don't believe it. But I'm glad you've got the optimism to think it'll come back one day.
Yeah, I admire their optimism. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I love that. I love that, because it does give me a glimmer of hope. Bring it back when I'm dead, so I don't have to go through more pain. Do you know what I mean?
And buy more DVDs, yeah, or whatever that.
At that point, stopped, didn't I? I stopped. Where did I stop? There. Can you see that? I stopped there with complete Series 10 with Capaldi. That's where I stopped. I haven't bought anything.
But no doubt they'll re-release the Blu-rays in some other form to bring back the next series with a new Doctor, blah blah blah, to promote it or whatever. And there'll be lots of us having to buy them again.
Yeah,
holographic crystals.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever's going to be. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
I bet it's back to VHS. Bet it does. Yeah.
Get Michael Sheen to play the lead role and get a new producer as TARDIS travels. Now, the problem with that, though, you may not know about this, but Michael Sheen is as woke as they come.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying on that one.
Well, him and Tennant are wrapped around each other's fingers,
oh,
aren't they?
Please. Oh, I wouldn't want to hit. I can't be bothered with either of them. The other thing I showed last week, and just before we go, is this as well. We're going to show this again from Endol. Badwell Studios Limited is an active company incorporated on the 26th September 2016 with a registered office located in Cardiff, South Glamorgan. Badwell Studios Limited was registered 8 years ago. Now, we're keeping an eye on this because, as you can see there, as part of this, it's a micro business, okay, under 10 employees at this point, active. This is all in the public domain, all there. Due by the 18th of December 2024 is the next confirmation. So also by the 31st of March 2024, accounts due by December 31st December 2024. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all this sort of stuff. Yeah, because this suggests they need that investment as well. So Disney looks like a very important player on this, everybody. So I'm now actually starting to change my opinion, thanks to you guys in the chat. Without Disney, I don't think there's a show.
Yeah. And I don't think any other streaming service would take it after
Disney.
Yeah, exactly.
Tainted.
Yeah.
Tainted. The whole thing about, you went to a rival before us.
Yeah.
Oh, we can see that you're not being watched.
Yeah.
We can see you're not selling merchandise. We can see your fan base is upset. Because like it or not, they are discussing us as fans, aren't they? For every franchise. They are aware because our power is there, everybody, because we switch off and we don't purchase their nonsense. So it is there. I mean, look what's happening with Wicked. You can actually tell that lady, the actor who I mentioned before, who ridiculous, X tweet, whatever you want to call it, because of the fan doing the poster, the mock-up poster. Oh, you've erased me. You've erased me. Out and about the premieres this weekend in Australia, I think it was. You can obviously tell she's been given a script by the marketing team. This is not what you say. These films, there are 2 of them, by the way, part 1 and 2. They've cost billions. They don't want to lose that, do they? So they've come along, obviously, and said, no. You don't say things like this. Everything now has to go through us. Learn that. That's what you've got to say when you are inevitably asked about this, which, of course, people did. And she said the same thing. It was rehearsed. It was planned. They used to do that. Do you remember back in the day? They used to do that. They used to have experts that say, you say this.
Yes.
You say this.
Yeah.
They're actors. That's exactly how you should be treating them, quite frankly. Keep your opinion out over there where no one can see it. And in front of the cameras, you say this, representing us. Learn it.
When they go off script, it's catastrophic.
Yeah. Well, it is, isn't it? Because
like Boris Johnson used to do. Yeah. So. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Thank you. I'll take the BAFTA now for the Best Actor Award. Yeah, brilliant. Lots more to talk about there on that one. Let's have some food for thought on this one as well. You can get in touch, whosviews1@gmail.com, about this, what your opinion is on this. And of course, you can join us on our future shows here at Headlines on Whose Views, because we've got an awful lot to talk about here, I think, as we get closer and closer to knowing exactly, because we're going to know the truth at some point, isn't it? We're going to know if Disney pull out. I think that says it all. If they surprise us and stay in, what will the new deal be? What will the investment be? What will the new agendas be? Lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about them right here, because as ever, you know that when they drop a headline, we're going to be talking about it. They thought they could jettison the old fans for these franchises and replace us with a new generation, but they changed the products to suit nobody, says Paul Rose. It suits themselves, doesn't it, Paul? It suited themselves. That's it. Nobody else. And right now, have any of us got any sympathy for them?
Nope.
Nope.
None at all.
On that point, we've gone well over time again. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being part of the show. Thank you to Paul and Third Doctor Ian. As I say, guys, we have just started on this, because we're really going for this one, aren't we? There's loads to talk about here. So stay with us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you have subscribed to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed to the channel. Join us this week. We'll be back in the week for another in our series, Worlds Below, as we are investigating and discussing the music of the Silurians and the Sea Devils. Absolutely. That'll be something different for us to cheer us all up, because we need it. Let's face it. So come and have some fun with us this Wednesday at 8 here on the channel.
Bring your crumb horn when you come. So,
until we see you then, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. whosviews1@gmail.com. Please get in touch. Leave your comments below the show as well. Until we see you next time on the channel, take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.